here live
from NYC. It's YenYorkCity Live. What's up, everyone? What's good, everyone? How's everyone's doing? The week has been quite a week for us.
Quite an adventure.
And he had a birthday this week, so
Yeah.
it was a Friday stream on his channel, and we had a great time.
I streamed for like 5 hours.
It was like the longest drum stream, I think, for a while.
Aside from the 4-album playthrough, yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's not forget, he did have a podcast with me here. I took him hostage. I'm like, okay, Mr. Dream Theater drummer guy, let's see what you got. And he played on 9/11. He played 4 Dream Theater albums back to back.
Yeah.
This guy right here.
Yeah.
So
It was
he was not messing around.
It was quite painful.
Yeah. So he was not messing around. But you were like, I could do a 5th one. You said him.
The adrenaline.
His words.
It was the adrenaline. My body said no, but my mind was like, you can do it.
But my body, my drummer's body.
That's
you know,
cruel.
drummers, they have that energy, you know. That's why you guys are my favorite. Damo!
What up, Damo? What up, the idiot bass player?
From Australia. Tommy.
Hedgehog.
There comes our guys coming in. Our drummers, our bass players. You guys are my favorite too, okay?
We're all in one of the same fam.
Aside from the drummers, the bass players, you know, they got that. It's about the rhythm section for me. I'm sorry, guys. It is. But you guitar players are cool too. All right, you get all the attention anyways. But here on Twitch, we give a lot of attention to the drummers, the heart, the beat of the song. And, you know, tonight we have an amazing drummer, Logan Kennedy drums. We got him, guys. He's going to be here tonight. It's going to be so much fun. Hey, so everyone, what are your plans for the holidays? I mean, we're at the end of December. This is officially the last one, unless
Well, the last guest that we have 2 weeks left. Next week, we might end up just having to do Christmas stuff, because, you know, the week after that is Christmas. So, but we are going to be doing the stream on Christmas Day, as you can see on this side. We're doing our year-end review, so we're going to go and talk about everyone we had on the podcast.
Every one of you guys.
Up to 2 hours worth of...
Probably 3.
Maybe 3. And also, if, you know, we do get any submissions for the YenYorkCity contest that we're hosting for musicians, if they want to submit a theme song for 2023, we'll review that live on the 25th, and we can have the community vote for their favorite. So that'll be the next theme song to start off our 2023
which is exciting.
podcasts. If not, then I'm just going to create my own. So.
This song you're hearing right now was created by Luna. He did the Christmas one. He did the
Halloween one.
The Halloween, the spooky sounding one he did, and then the
fall one was from Aaron Gold. Is it Goldberg? Goldstein?
Yeah.
Goldberg. And then prior to that was the synth wave one that I created. We're gonna be uploading these soon, so
it's gonna be fun. And look forward to Sky Museum having a new single next month. And that one's a nice rock, hard, heavier one. It's not going to be synthy, Tame Impala, David Bowie-ish like the one we released in October. It's going to be a little bit different. And we're looking for more people to collab with. Of course, the next year is going to be full of more collabs. And also a big event that we're planning at the end of summer. So we're sending out right now... save the dates to see how many people will actually show up. It's going to be in Soho, Manhattan, here in New York City. So if you guys want to spend, a weekend in Manhattan, in New York City,
it's a very limited ticketed event because of the location and the size of the location. So if you guys are interested in wanting to come to New York for the weekend and want to have an opportunity to join this, be sure to RSVP once it is available publicly. We're getting all the things situated logistically, and it seems to be going fairly well. So we're gonna have our very own YenYorkCity Musician Summit.
Yes, you guys asked for it. You guys asked for it, and it's gonna happen. Damo, Australia, you know, we would love to have you here. I know you your New York City pretty well, so you know the Soho area, right?
And I know
very
that
artsy, very.
Everyone's been talking about having something on the East Coast.
So we're doing it next year, end of summer. So, let's end the summer together, guys. Let's rock out. Let's do it. I'm also looking for a few bands to perform. So if you think that your band will be able to perform in Manhattan at the end of the summer, the venue's really freaking awesome. It's like insane. There's going to be like projections and
very immersive.
Very immersive. Like every wall has a screen. And so it's going to be like you're in space.
And there's also a VIP booth for VIP members.
It's a 2-floor place, so we're planning it out. But we got to see who's willing to go, because it's a pretty pricey event. If I end up getting people, then we're gonna do it. So that's why I'm saying it's gonna take like a half a year to do it, to plan it out. But I'm talking about it now because then it gives me time to know how many people I have.
We should have everything publicly released by the end of January.
No, not January. It's not going to be January. That's too soon. No, it's going to be later. No, it's going to... We'll talk about it.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
It's not going to be January. Because people are still going to be recovering from the New Year's.
Well, yeah.
So I'm going to give you guys some time. But
I mean, for the RSVPs, not ticket sales yet. Ticket sales will be later.
We'll see. I got to make sure that I give people time too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what's the next plan for next year other than that. That's going to be in the summertime.
Well,
there's Paris.
Yeah, TwitchCon Paris is definitely a thing on the radar that we're planning on going.
We want to go. So I definitely want to go. Because TwitchCon this year was really awesome. We got to meet a lot of drummers. We had the drummers pizza party with GW, and that was really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully there'll be more musicians that we meet this coming year.
We don't think we're going to do the San Diego this coming year.
No, because if we do this one in the East Coast, a lot of our drummers on the East Coast been saying if it was in the East Coast, then they would do something about it and go.
Yeah.
So probably not. I'm just going to do one TwitchCon this coming year.
Yeah.
And then the event.
Paris is it.
Yeah, I really want to go to Paris.
So yeah, that's our plan. This is what we have going on for this year and our big plans for next year. There's plenty of other things that's going to happen. We'll announce later as the year comes. So, but yeah, without further ado,
we want to bring up the next guest. A very talented. Look at that handsome guy up there. Look, that's Logan Kennedy drums. We're gonna get to know him in depth tonight. So guys, get hype. Hey, Benedix, I'll see you in a week. Are you ready for me, Logan Kennedy drums?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this here on YenYorkCity Live. Woo! Logan Kennedy drums.
Wow.
Get the crazy one out of the way, I say.
That was nuts, dude.
Oh, thank you.
What a fun drummer to watch, guys. Isn't he? Like, I was just like, I love the style of your drumming, like the way you handle the sticks and everything.
I just try not to get in the way of myself.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught up.
The energy, yes. It's all about the energy and the drive, and you can always see when a drummer really enjoys doing what he does when he's behind the kit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how are you, Logan? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Oh yeah, we've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a while. I know you've been really like doing a bunch of things behind the scenes, right? And your schedule it's been changing, right? Since the very beginning of you going live on Twitch. So tell us, like, how's your schedule like now, and how did you start on Twitch in the first place?
Well, now it's pretty crazy because I'm a stay-at-home dad primarily. So like business hours, I'm chasing him around, you know.
Oh, how old is he?
16 months.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
they're
hilarious.
so yummy at that age. They're so chubby.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh, I love it.
So he keeps me busy, and when he finally sleeps, you know, I throw the drums in the car and I go do rock and roll somewhere, you know.
Oh, that's great. I mean, it's definitely an experience once you become a dad. Is this your first?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. 16 months.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. It's beautiful.
It's pretty great. But yeah, so when I started on Twitch, like I didn't mean to like become a streamer, if that makes any sense. Like when COVID happened and all the gigs were shut down, like all the dates that we had booked were canceled.
Yeah.
So we the band that I play for, Illusionaut, we had just gotten a Behringer XR18 mixer, and I was basically just like kind of troubleshooting, trying to get like the sound to work through streaming, and I saw somebody was using Twitch. Like I tried Facebook at first, but then like I started kind of doing the Twitch thing.
Yeah.
And then drummers just started following me and talking to me, and then like turns out there's this whole community of drummers.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea. And so the band streaming aspect of it never really panned out. The house that I was living in at the time, we ended up selling once my wife got pregnant. And that's where we rehearsed and we did everything. So the whole idea was basically just kind of put on pause a little bit. And I just kind of, I already had everything mic'd up and everything was just outside in my drum room. So it was super easy to just go out and turn everything on and play music for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for, a few months, but then like it kind of started taking shape and people started hanging out with me, and like it became like kind of a consistent thing. So like I really wasn't expecting anything long-term out of it or anything, but yeah, just kind of progressively it just sort of became something people sort of like, know me as.
And you enjoy it, like when you're on and you get that, it's a different interaction and feeling as opposed to, playing out and stuff.
Yeah, it totally is. And so, and before I actually like, would like turn my laptop webcam on and like actually start kind of streaming myself, I would just like, I would have my earbuds in and just be playing along to music anyway. So whenever I started doing the streaming thing, like it was funny because like I would turn it on, like I'd set the stream and then I'd have the computer set up sort of over here, and then I just kind of forgot about it. And I had like no way to keep up with the chat or anything. Like I could see if somebody would say something and like I couldn't really read it from how far away I was. So like that's what I was playing, and then I'd go around the kit and like squint and like try to read it.
Yeah, because you're in the zone when you're playing, and then you're like, you didn't think at first people were going to really tune in, right? You're just like, I'm just going to practice, and if anybody says hi, that's cool, right? So it kind of, that's just the way it happens.
Yeah, that's exactly, like I wasn't really, I didn't expect it to really sort of become something that I would do, frequently. And but yeah, got into it, got better at it, and I still to this day, like I say that I'm not a good streamer because like I'm really not. Like it's hard to like play drums and also like talk and like also like keep up with chat and stuff like that. Like I'm really good at being on stage and like on the riser, back in the back.
Like most drummers are used to being in the back, and then on Twitch, it's like you're in the front.
Yeah, what do I do now?
Like, right in the middle. It's like if I were to set my kit up somewhere in the pit area, like somewhere in the, and just like I'm talking to people while I'm like trying to play, and like even like putting a mic on me and like really trying to keep up with the chat was like it's still pretty daunting sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you'll find like your rhythm almost, right, when you're streaming, because everyone has their own way of handling their streams. And like for me, like I don't like talking during a song. I try not to as much as possible because I feel like that takes away from the music.
Yeah, it does.
And then I like to be in it. I like to be in the music, in the zone, playing. Like I'll read chat while playing and like interact with facial expressions and points, but that's about it.
I think it helps too. It helps because in the chat people interact with each other too. So it's like, oh, this is my favorite song, and then people interact and then you discover a lot of songs through chat too, which is fun as a drummer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't really listen to much music before I started streaming. Like, and Luna, I think you could probably understand, like, especially like being a drummer, like when anytime you're like writing material for your band or anything like that, it seems like anytime you're listening to things, it kind of like bleeds into what you're doing a little bit, and so like I'll go long periods of time and not listen to anything. Like I'll catch podcasts like sometimes, but then like I try really not to like listen to too much music.
It's like an outside influence trying to adjust what you're trying to kind of deliver as an original concept.
I get that.
Yeah. Yes, and especially like before COVID, because like I had like active studio gigs like often, and I was constantly having to go in and like do tracks for somebody, and when all of that stopped, you just kind of, I guess like whenever I started streaming and it became like requests, I guess because like when I started it wasn't requests, it was just like some songs I knew how to play and I just kind of had a Spotify playlist, and then like I figured out how people can request things, and that kind of changed things a little bit because then you're out of your comfort zone totally. Like people can hit you with some stuff you're not expecting, and like you can wonder, and then like and I guess like, exactly like Bleed, Meshuggah, like
the obvious ones that everyone wants to throw at us.
I think the last time when you were on, I was excited to see you on. I'm like, oh my god, Logan. Who's Logan?
He used
like,
to be LK, right?
LKDrums. I'm like, wait, I put two and two together, Logan Kennedy. I'm like, this is LK?
Yeah. Well, so all right. So when I started out, the name was Logan on drums, and again, like that, I wasn't really like planning on being a streamer, so I didn't put much, thought into that. And then like, I was talking to my little brother, I think, and like he kind of like. I don't know, sort of like brought the idea up that like maybe I needed to like rebrand this thing and like actually make it something I could stick with. And then like Logan Kennedy Drums was what I was going with. And for whatever reason, the name wouldn't take in Twitch, and LKDrums would. So my Instagram was Logan Kennedy Drums because someone already had LKDrums taken.
I see.
And then Instagram and then Twitch was, LKDrums. So like I changed it up to LKDrums, and it was consistent. I was doing like 3 or 4 times a week until I finished up a stream one night, and my wife's standing there with a pregnancy test, and she was like, You ready to do this?
It's time.
So,
Wait. Was it during quarantine? Because a lot of people, stuck indoors. A lot of our friends had babies. A few of our drummer friends ended up having
just
babies.
Exploded with babies.
It was like,
Technically, it was during the quarantine time, but like, my wife already worked from home, and like nothing stopped for me. Like the company that I worked for, like it was a very small company, and the few employees that were there were like spaced out, you know. So like they're like, you know, just mask up and just, you know, business as usual. And so like nothing stopped for me. In fact, I was picking up like, you know, 2 or 3 other people's jobs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, a lot more.
Did they like furlough other people in the company?
Yeah, they had to. I was working in a essentially a large format printing company, and they do like books and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it was just kind of like they had to lay off a handful of people in graphics, and then they had to lay off a handful of, you know, just like throughout the place. And it was pretty crazy. But I was one of them that, you know, one of the essentials, I guess. And yeah, it was nuts all the time.
So we got rid of all these people just so that you can do their job.
Yeah, you know how to do all of this,
with
right?
no extra pay.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it was. I think that happened to most of the musicians that play on Twitch. Like it was like, okay, the gigs are not happening, and you know, you have to feed that energy of wanting to play again, right? And you don't want to lose it, because I know it's like kind of like the caged bird, you know, that can't sing or something. You have to do it because you know. And I think that's the same reason why the podcast became the podcast, because I'm a teacher too, so I was always into the let's have community, let's do things. But yoga teacher and sound healing is a little different. But I'm also like a huge venue goer, concert goer. So when the concert stopped, I'm like, oh, what are we gonna do now? Well, all our friends are musicians, all of us play instruments. Let's just get them on, make this podcast happen, and let's hang out, because we're stuck all in this together, right? And then everybody started just jumping on like the streamer bandwagon, like let's treat this like a gig and see what happens. And then people just started growing really rapidly because people were watching more streams, right? Instead of being out. So I think that was like the peak for a lot of us too. It was like, whoa, like this could actually be a thing. And then it was.
Well, and you know, so I mean, like I said, everything was very, you know, like full time still for me, like with work and, you know, everything else. And then like I would just kind of do this whenever I was home and had free time. But then like, you know, I wasn't considering everybody else that was actually like stuck, and like this was like really like the only outlet available. And you know, to me it was just like in the beginning it was just as gratifying going out and just playing to songs without any cameras or anything on, and just, you know, get that physical strain out of it, you know, and just like, because it's just fun to me to, you know, play a song that I already know, and I can kind of overplay it or do whatever I want, you know, with it, you know. But like, you know, once the streaming kind of started, you know, it became a lot more like, all right, you know, I could go out and just kind of, you know, run through these songs, or I could just, you know, engage with, you know, people and, you know, play some songs I'm not quite familiar with, and, you know, you know, and
it was fun. It was fun. You got the bug. That's what we call it. Yeah. You got the bug, the streaming. Yeah, the streaming bug. Like, we're like, wait a second, and then you want to go again, and then hitting
that's what happened with Mitch, because he was on for 6 months, and then he stopped for a while because he oversaturated his work with his music and everything, and then he went to TwitchCon shortly afterwards because his friends convinced him to go. And then when he went to TwitchCon, he got the bug and was like, all right, if I'm going to come back, I got to do it, you know, bigger and better.
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do this. Yeah. Mitch was on last week. He's amazing. He was great. And yeah, just meeting so many other people that are also drummers. And I see you guys love to come in and talk about, you know, what gear do you have? What's your style? And then it's just very, very cool that it all brings people together in some way. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, I started listening to music a lot more again, you know, because of you know, yeah, the constant, you know, having to figure songs out on the fly kind of thing, you know. I discovered, you know, a lot of bands that I never would have, you know, if I hadn't have been in the, you know, right place at the right time, you know, with streaming and doing requests. So I mean, I think at the very least, just being able to say that I became a better player because of streaming or because of COVID or whatever you want to chalk it down to. But I because of the circumstance, I used this as it's always been practice for me, and I overplay so much, especially like simpler songs. It's fun to me to kind of step on it a little bit, and kind of see what I can get away with.
I mean, you're allowed if you're streaming and you're by yourself,
Exactly. I don't have a guitar player anywhere near me that's gonna be like, hey, cut that shit out.
Take it back a notch, right?
Overplay, please. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So and when I'm approaching it that way, whether I know the song that I'm playing or not, I'm working on my chops, and I'm just getting better at being a player. And I think, like I said, at the very least, I gained that. But in the grand scheme, I mean, there was this community that I never would have known about, or I never would have found had I not, kind of jumped in and gotten to know people. And Matt Scurfield, I literally had 4 followers, and Matt was talking to me, and I jumped into one of his streams one day, and then everybody that was in the stream followed me, and I went from 40 to 70 in just a couple of minutes, and I was like, this is insane, man.
Heck yeah.
I've been at this for weeks and I've got 4.
Yeah, all it takes is networking and connecting. Like much of everything that you do in music, right? You can't have tours or be in bands if you're not networking with other bands and other industry leaders and stuff like that, just to get yourself moving. So much like streaming, you network with the people that are part of part of what we do. So the drumming community. And with that, everyone's trying to do the same thing, right? But we all know and understand what we're trying to do, and we enjoy what we do, and we share the same stuff. So it's this is the common ground, and this is the biggest support group ever, to be a part of. Yeah,
exactly. It's and it's really cool too, because you're not always in a situation where you're just among a lot of friendly musicians, a lot of time it's competition, man. And
we say that all the time. It's not like that with you guys. You guys are a different breed. Drummers are a different breed.
Well, and I mean, you can't really, I guess there are examples that I'm not thinking of, but I really can't think of many other, people like musicians that can have zero in common and not even speak the same language all the time, but just pick that up, as soon as the music starts, they know where they fit in. And I can't think of any other, what do athletes do that? I guess they do. They can just jump in and just kind of,
if there is a
common ground,
a trophy in line, right? If there's a VIP or MVP status, right? So anything that's a status build, then it is somewhat of they add a sense of competition, right?
Yeah, totally.
So, but we're streamers, there shouldn't be any competition as streaming. We're entertaining.
No, but I do feel I'm pretty straightforward, and Toofy's here, he's straightforward. And Davo's here, Zen Fusion, you guys are all my Aussie peeps. All of these guys are Australian, and they're up here watching. And what time is it over there? Oh my god,
it's gotta be late.
Thank you so much for being here. And Jump Dumpin' Monkey, oh, you guys, I love you all amazing. Tommy, all of you guys, all drummers, look at that, all here for you, Logan.
Good people. Thanks, guys. Hey, everybody.
That just proves our point right there. It's 9 a.m. Oh, it's early.
Oh, that's not bad.
He's in the
future. You guys waking up having coffee? I know Logan's got his coffee.
This is nice.
Oh, yeah. It's an all-day thing sometimes.
Yeah, right? Coffee is life. Especially when you have a little one, too. You need your coffee. I understand you. I understand. Yeah. Toofy, we were just talking about how, so he just had a baby, 16 months. The baby's 16 months. Toofy, I remember his wife was pregnant. And then the whole journey, it was him and Darkman both got pregnant around the same time. And then I was like, yeah, there was like a drummer's baby boomer. The whole lockdown had us all snuggling together, and then boom, you know. So, hey, Flutter Baby, yeah, it's been a journey to see all the drummers come together, and I love seeing them support each other. It's the best. It's really the best. Debbie, we were just talking about your man, girl. Debbie, my queen.
Debbie, thank you for the resub.
Thank you so much and thank you for the resub.
Hey, Debbie. Hey.
Yeah, Debbie, we were just talking about Matt. He was saying how Matt helped him so much in the very beginning when he thought he only had like 1 or 4 people watching. And then he went into Matt's
jumped to like 70 followers.
Yes. And I said, that's the drum fam. That's the drum fam. There he goes.
You guys, he played Seven Dust.
I was like, where's Matt? I was like, where's Matt? Because that's your favorite band.
Yeah. So funny thing about that song, that's a track from an album I'm not too familiar with. It came out a couple of years ago called Kill the Flaw. And my father-in-law is a big Seven Dust fan. Like, he's seen them a handful of times.
Wow.
I've seen them a bunch of times too. Probably not as many as Mr. Matt Skirfield there, but yeah. But I've got Morgan's number and shit. Like, I've been in some situations, but he my father-in-law really likes him, and he asked me like not too long ago if I would learn that song for him, and I had so much going on, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. And he's actually he's up in Buffalo, New York, and
okay.
He'll be he's flying in tomorrow, so he'll be spending the week with us tomorrow. So
that's awesome.
so he'll actually be down here. So I learned that song for him. And I used today as practice. Like, I just kind of practiced it.
So you're gonna showcase it when he gets down there. That's awesome.
That was a killer song. Such a good song.
Merry Christmas, Pops.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah, when you came back on and I saw you were on, I was excited. So you asked me to throw you a song, and we've gotten into like a really deep Sleep Token like vibe. Like, just we discovered them. We're like, oh my god, this band is freaking amazing.
Oh, Tommy's ears is perking up.
So
chat.
I wanted to like throw you a song, and you were like, oh yeah, I've listened to Sleep Token before. I'm like, oh shit, we got a fan.
Yeah.
You annihilated that song too. That was awesome.
And then I was looking into your Instagram, and I was scrolling down, just looking for pictures of you and just to get an idea of what you play. And the first one I got and I played was a Sleep Token song, and it was like in 2021. And we started getting into Sleep Token because we saw them in September opening up for a band. So I was like, oh my god, what are the chances?
Yeah, Sleep Token, man, that's a really, really good band, and it's a collective. It's not the same musicians every time. Like, depending on the tour, it could be a handful of different guys, always the same front man. But it's kind of this revolving door a little bit. Like, it's really interesting. But I play for a band called Illusionaut, and I've been playing with these guys for like 20 years now.
Wow.
And they're friends of mine from the area. And like, my singer, he owns a tattoo shop down the road. So like, he's everybody kind of has their thing, and we just kind of come together for Illusionaut, from time to time. But
I love the name.
Yeah. Illusion and Astronaut, obviously. Kind of smacked them into one word.
It's very cool.
We the band's been going for a long time, and then we renamed the band from a previous name to Illusionaut back in 2018, I think. We put an album out, and then like a year later, the band kind of fizzled out a little bit. We really weren't sure if we were actually gonna even play music again, and then COVID happened, and all the shows slowed down. And what's funny is like we kind of disbanded a little bit, and we kept getting show offers. And like, I'd get a text from everybody, and they're like, "Yo, do you guys want to get back together and open for the guy from the Lost Boys or whatever, the saxophone guy from the Lost Boys?"
What?
Yeah, we didn't do it, but
no.
But because of all the shows, kind of dying off, like all anybody had was time. And so we decided to put the band back together. Our singer wore a mask on stage like for several years. Like would just like start the set out with like a crazy mask, you know, and like at some point, you know, kind of take it off and, you know, like, you know, whatever, do the front man thing. But we basically just kind of like, we're like, okay, let's what if we brought the band back into, you know, an idea, but we kind of changed up the way that we're playing and writing the songs, but we also kind of add like a theatric, you know, kind of element to it. And
change the presentation almost.
Yeah. And masks immediately was brought up because Ryan had already sort of like initiated that before. And with the way that we wanted to approach the band, like this, you know, this way, or this go, I guess, the masks really kind of like added this sort of like, you know, ominous sort of, you know, theatrical sort of element, you know. I found out about Sleep Token because of that. Like I actually just kind of like, I Googled masked bands because I just kind of wanted to know what was out there, because like as soon as like the idea was getting kicked around, somebody was like, yeah, but Slipknot. And I'm like,
they weren't the first ones. I mean, like, look at Kiss. They did the face mask very early on. And so Alice Cooper was one of the first ones.
Wasn't Ghost around before Slipknot?
Yeah, and Ghost
There's always going to be somebody that says it was the first, but it wasn't.
I found out about Ghost because of Illusionaut. Like we had put out pictures or something, and then somebody commented and was like, you guys look like Ghost. And I was like, what's Ghost? And like, Googled it, and immediately like a masked band, where were these guys? And like, so I started Spotifying them and loved them. I was like, wow, these guys, you know, and especially like the earlier stuff. I was like, this is like Black Sabbath, if like Black Sabbath and like Queen did something, you know, like back in those days or something, you know, like something, you know, I don't know. There's something kind of weird about it. But so I discovered those guys just because my band also puts masks on, like, and that was the whole idea. But
I forgot about Mushroom Head, Tommy. That's an interesting one.
And Mushroom Head, yeah, and so, you know, and I think, you know, like Slipknot was just like that quick like example. I guess, you know, people just have to associate something with something, you know, just as fast as they can. And Slipknot was like the first thing that came up.
Yeah.
So we you know, put an album out, you know, under, you know, like this new sort of, you know, like, you know, approach to the band, I guess. And
so
and
what is the inspiration for the music itself? What's your sound? What would you explain it as?
How does that tie in with your mask?
Yeah, does it have like a
presentation?
Well, so so we put an album out back in 2018, like I said, called Snow Queen, and we were really exploring like a lot of like the atmospheric rock kind of idea, you know, like space rock and all these kinds of different you know, almost kind of like heavy rhythm section with this very atmospheric sort of you know, melody and lead and stuff, you know, and like that was whether we meant for that to happen or not. That's just kind of what the sound sort of evolved into. And when we put the band back together, it was only myself and my singer. We're the only two originals. So we brought in another guitarist and another bass player. And, you know, so that was, you know, sort of a fresh approach, you know, just with, you know, new guys and, you know, kind of hearing, you know, how, you know, because you don't really know what you're able or capable of doing until you're all in a room jamming together and kind of like getting to know each other, you know, and you know, like until you're really just kind of like improvising together, you know, you really don't know, you know, where any of this could go, you know.
So and, are they all from the same area? Are they from Arkansas? Hey, Michael.
Yeah, they all live relatively close, like 20, 30 minutes or so from me. But yeah, so we the first album different bass player and a different guitar player, and so that was like a different, they had a different way of writing and going about songs. And then so when we brought in the two new guys, especially myself, because like on the album before, like I would just play as heavy and as technical as I could, within that little box, like I try to kind of stay where I needed to be, but like just make it as intense as I could. And with the new approach, like I really kind of wanted the drums to be a lot more sort of in the back instead of like a lead instrument, I guess, And so the guitar feels a lot more space now than it did or that it than it could have before. Yeah, so the whole kind of space rock kind of atmospheric sort of rock element. That's
I love
still,
space rock. That's amazing.
Well, so to give you a little bit more a more specific idea, me and the bass player from before listened to a lot of Failure and a lot of Tool and things like that together, like
Tool.
when we were younger and stuff. And yeah, I still shamelessly play a lot of Tool. But
Big fan.
yeah, the new guys, listen to completely different music and didn't necessarily listen to Failure and those kinds of bands. So like their approach is completely different, and it became a lot more sort of kind of like an alternative rock kind of sound, I guess, like a lot more sort of like 90s grunge-ish, if like Soundgarden were in space.
Oh my God, he just said the two most like amazing things I've ever heard. Because Soundgarden is my favorite band of all time, and space.
Yeah, it's the only way I can really explain it. And the album doesn't necessarily do it much justice. Like, live there's a certain element to, being at a show, that you don't really get when you're listening to a recording. And especially, like we didn't work with like a well-known engineer or anything, so like the album was basically like as good as we could make it without someone kind of coming in and putting their magic to it and you know what I mean. But so I
want to hear a song right now. Which is the song? Which is the song that you would say you would have someone hear for the first time?
Oh man, that's a pretty good.
I'm gonna have to look for it then.
Maybe
it's on Spotify, right?
Yeah, Spotify. Let me think.
Unless you want to play one for us.
Yeah.
I reckon I could.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me think.
I mean, no pressure. Of course, we're just hanging out, guys. We're having fun. I see you guys coming in. Hey, Michael C. Stone. Oh, you're setting up. Okay. Low key.
Yeah, that's an interesting combination of like inspirations that you're incorporating with the band.
Because I'm really into space rock, grunge, 90s, early 2000s sound.
Yeah, you're literally just speaking to Yen's heart right now.
Yes, I'm very excited now for it.
Very, very coincidental because that's like our guitar player.
You said you're a big Tool fan too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, instant besties.
Yeah. all the words I like hearing.
Yeah, that was just a band that I've never let go of. I've just stayed a Tool head for since I was in junior high.
Same. I took him to see Tool for the first time this year, and it was awesome, right?
Oh my God.
He loved it.
Like I listened to Tool growing up, but I wasn't like deep into Tool. Like I knew like the album with like Anima and I've heard Sober, and my favorite one was Ticks and Leeches.
Oh yeah,
so good.
So like that's what hooked me into Tool with Ticks and Leeches, but I didn't like deep dive into them. I was too caught up into like Dream Theater, right?
Because Danny Carey is one of my favorite drummers of all time. So I had to put him on, and I was like, no, you don't understand. So whenever somebody says, oh, I'm not that into I'm like, wait, you're into drummers, right? Are you not? Don't you think that Danny Carey is a genius,
Listen, and let me defend Luna real fast, because I've learned in my years of being a drummer that there are two kinds of drummers: the Mike Portnoy drummers and the Danny Carey drummers.
Really?
And look, if the Danny Carey guys show up on the Mike Portnoy side, they got to walk across the street, because the Mike Portnoy guys don't want to hear it. They're all, it's one or the other. And on the rare occasion, you'll get.
I'm rare then, because I can appreciate and I adore both of them.
I loved Mike Portnoy when I was in high school, and I got the liquid, what was it?
Tension?
It was the Liquid Tension Theater.
It was Liquid Drum Theater.
Liquid Drum Theater, that was it.
Yeah.
Where he basically just kind of like went through several Dream Theater songs and Liquid Tension Experiment songs, and he taught me 1916. Like, he taught me all kinds of weird time signatures that I never would have known, like before then.
How to actually count them.
Exactly, and how to actually count them, and used like a drumstick to reference it. It was like very educational. But yeah, and then like, I don't know, like I was super, and I was also like on Drumline, so like, the Mike Portnoy drumming was just like every Drumline rock and roll drummer kid's like, hero, and yeah, and then like, I started jamming with guys that were into Tool, and Danny Carey just kind of like consumed me, man.
Yeah.
Like, totally. Like, the Undertow album especially, like, I could play that in my sleep right now.
Wow, really? That's insane.
Yeah, like after that concert, I was like, man, I gotta listen to more like Tool and really deep dive into like Danny Carey's playing, because it is very unique. His approach to his playing patterns is, nothing that anyone could really kind of replicate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
And Darkman, I was just thinking about you, Darkman, because he's another one.
Darkman. Yeah, another Mike Portnoy guy.
Yes.
Through and through, man. Through and through.
Brothers right there.
And I'm not trying to offend any drummers when I say this, but like, I don't see many drummers playing Tool these days, and I don't know what the hell the deal is. And like, I'm not sure if you guys just forgot how great damn Tool is, but whatever the reason.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Like, Chris and AZ broke my heart, but I love them because they're my dudes.
Throw them under the bus.
I'm about to. They both said that Tool is not really their thing, which is fine because I still adore them. Okay. But I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
I believe that like it's easy to say that Tool's not your thing if you've never seen them live.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what happened to him.
Like, you have to see them. Like that. It's a whole experience.
And he's like in his 60s too now.
Oh yeah, Maynard, totally. Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, they're up there in age, and they're still doing it, and he jokes about it on stage.
Are you set up for your song?
Yeah. I'll play this thing. I wasn't really prepared to play any of this, but and the drums to these songs, I'm not gonna say they're not exciting, but they're not the most exciting because, like I said, it's like, when I started writing for this kind of stuff, like I tried to stay a lot more sort of in the back and like a lot more pocket player, I guess, but it's still, they're still interesting. Like it's still me, So let's see how it goes here.
So set it up. Which song is this that you're gonna play?
This is a song called "Think It Over" by Illusionaut.
The original band that he's in. All right, Logan, let's do it.
That last bit was very Tool.
I hear it. I hear all the influences right now.
Yeah.
Dude, that was sick.
Oh man.
Thank
I
you.
gotta dive into your band now, like completely immerse myself into it. Like, whoa, if they all sound like that.
Right on. Thank you.
Nice job.
Yeah,
Everybody loved it in the chat. Everyone here loves it. They were saying Deftones vibes. What else did you guys say?
Oh yeah.
Command Logan Kennedy drums in chat. You guys can check out more of his work with the link associated to his band. Definitely follow them. Follow Logan. He's an incredible drummer.
Thank you so much.
So, we've talked a lot about, how you got onto Twitch and then some of your developments. Now, let's go back. I mean, Yen knows where we're going with this.
To the very beginning of Logan.
85.
1985.
Van Halen had a number one. I don't know.
Oh, were you born in 1985? That's the same year as you.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, you guys are the same age.
When's your birthday?
Yeah. November.
Oh, December.
Wait,
We're not too far off.
So are you a Scorpio or are you a Sagittarius November? Scorpio. Ooh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, the same year.
I get the same reaction every time they're like, what's your sign? I'm like, Scorpio, and they're like, ooh.
I like
Ooh,
it.
the dark side.
He has a moon in Scorpio, so I love myself a Scorpio.
So yeah, let's talk about how you actually got into playing your favorite instrument, the kazoo.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, it all goes. I don't know. Yeah. So let's see here. So born in the 80s, to a single mom, and she was just barely 18 when I showed up, and so she was super into hair metal and all those bands. So like when I got old enough to reach her cassette tapes, I would just one after another. I would just put a tape in, listen to it all the way through, put it back, put another one in until she got home or until, I was about to get caught, and then I would stop as quick as I could. But I heard Rush's 2112 when I was 4 years old, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Yeah. So it just kind of, I had this tiny little, not even you couldn't even call it a drum kit. It looked like a drum kit, but it was for babies, you know what I mean? Just a tiny little dinky little thing.
Your first drum kit ever.
Yeah. Yeah. We got it at a garage sale or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just kind of tap on that a little bit. And my mom would tell me when I was a little bit older, and she swears that I would tap along perfectly to this little Rush bit that Neil Peart was playing. I would just tap perfectly. I'm like, you're out of your mind. I was 3 years old. There's no way I was playing it.
No, there's definitely an ingrained soul of a drummer in a baby. I've seen it in so many drummers. It's you guys have it.
Yeah, my son has it. He's in here every single day, and I have to pry him out of here. And so I did. It didn't make much sense, until now that I when I see him, I'm like, okay, he's kind of doing some pretty freaky stuff too. So I believe
you learn something from him.
It's in them.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't a drummer until I was 13 or so. I knew about the drums, and I loved to tap around on my legs or on the counter or whatever when a song would come on, and I could mimic a part, some kind of weird little drum thing. I could tap it a little bit, and I had that in me, but it wasn't until junior high that I actually became a drummer. And junior high was a very important time in my life as far as music, and because I was a very impressionable kid, it did whatever came at me. I was probably gonna absorb it in some way. And we moved around a lot. Like when let me think here. I'm not even lying. I moved schools 11 times before I graduated. Yeah. And
you seem like a very normal person. Because you know how sometimes that affects people and they're like, I moved so many times. And was it in the same town or was it different states?
No, it was always different states. And like there were certain times where like we would move back to a state that we moved out of and like that kind of thing. Like I would leave a school and then like show up like 4 years later or like 5 years later, and like no one remembered me or any of that, so like I didn't have very many friends. And whatever, I
know how you feel because I've moved a few times and then every time I move, my son has to move schools. It's only been 3 times, but I always felt bad because I'm like, you have to start over and meet friends. I'm like, you're going to make friends. You're natural. You just make friends, but it does something to a child, especially when, you're trying to like get into something really heavy. So music is kind of the escape for a lot of us too.
Yeah, totally. And and especially like if you made friends and then had to leave them, like at a young age, like that's pretty detrimental and doesn't do well for the mental health or whatever, like whatever you call it when you're 9, because we moved around a lot, like I never had like enough time with people to really become friends with them, you know what I mean? So it was just like I went to school and like I knew people, but then like I went home and hung out with my friends, you know what I mean? Like I'd put my cassettes in or I'd put my CDs in and like I would just from the like, and especially in my junior high days, you know what I mean? And I think everybody, can sort of reflect back on that time. And like, it was literally like come in from school, throw your backpack in the corner and just listen to whatever you were listening to until you woke up the next day and just kind of,
I remember. Yeah. And I think us 80s babies, we're like we're special in the way, and I'm not saying that all you other babies are not special, but it's like we came into a point where like we still had, the Walkman and then the CD player came in and our parents' music influenced us and they had the best music that influenced us because it was from like the 70s and all the good, really good shit was what our parents listened to. And then we came in and we had we had the grunge coming in when we were in like junior high, and then like the metal, the new metal then came about and the screamo. It's like we had this, and then technology and computers and us building our own computers and us being in our rooms stuck just listening to music or being in bands growing up. So I think it molded pretty interesting people like us, I think
so. And especially like a lot of that music, in like the, mid to late 90s and like early 2000s, a lot of those bands were like really like speaking to like the fucked up, confused teenager, you know what I mean? And
angst.
And before, like bands really like, I mean, like the hair metal guys, like they were talking to the youth, but it was a completely different context, you know what I mean? And like, especially, like around the mid 90s grunge era, like when we lost Kurt Cobain and like music really just kind of became like a way to sort of like express like,
your feelings.
Kind of express yourself without like having to talk to like a counselor or something, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I think because of that, like I don't think, these days I can't say for sure, but I know that like for me personally, it was a really tough time, growing up. And, especially in those days, and like the bands that I found in those times, I mean, saved me, you know what I mean? And I know that like a lot of people can say that, but like
I could say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
sure.
And I think that, I think that we're lucky to have, like lived when we lived and like, discovered that music when we discovered it. You know what I mean? Because like I've been in so many like crossroads in my life where like, you know, had I just made one, you know, slightly different decision, I could have ended up way over this way, and like, you know,
Yeah.
and who knows where, you know, but like, you know, I moved to we moved to a town in Oklahoma the summer before I started the 7th grade in junior high. So I lived in Arkansas before, and we had just moved. You know, I moved in the middle of the 6th grade to a different school, finished school there, and then moved again to like a completely different town. And so I got there, and it was like, you know, same old, same old. I'm not gonna know anybody. You know, I better learn how to skateboard, or I gotta figure something out. You know, or no one's gonna like me.
Like, what is everyone into here in this town?
Play drums.
Yeah. And I went. I went to this gas station pretty close to my house. Shortly after like moving a bunch of boxes in, like we had just moved into this like little neighborhood, and went up to this gas station, and these kids were like back on the side of it, like kind of back behind it, rollerblading and skateboarding. And I just kind of like walked over and like, you know, kind of checking them out, and they were immediately cool with me. And they were listening to a lot of like, you know, like Pantera, and then like I found out about Korn from those guys, and that was kind of like, that was my in, you know what I mean? Like
The music.
as soon as, like, yeah, I was like, okay, and then like I'd go home, and like back in those days too, man. So there was a magazine called Hit Parader.
I remember.
That I had to like beg my parents forever to subscribe to, because there wasn't internet, like not like there is now. Like there was like AOL and shit, and like.
But they had, you know, real news magazines back then,
like Modern Drummer, Modern Drummer magazines,
Guitar World.
Yeah.
Well, and so I got that magazine, and like I found so many bands through that magazine. Like I remember one of the very first issues that I got, probably like the second issue that I got, Seven Dust was on the front of it, was on the cover of it, and like that name stuck out, and I didn't even read much about them. Like I was just kind of like, back in those days, I was just flipping through the pictures and like trying to find somebody's drum set that looked cool, you know?
Yeah.
And I, you know, and found like all these different bands, you know, through those magazines. And so still wasn't a drummer yet. Like I could still, I knew I could probably try to like play a song. Like I had enough like confidence that I could maybe do it, but like I didn't have a drum set. Like my parents couldn't afford to like give me a drum kit or anything. So like it was all just like, you know, following my heart. I believe that I could maybe tear it up on a drum set. Like I really don't know, and like I'm not all that confident.
So did they have music stores where you could just go and like play on a drum kit somewhere? Did they have that? Those big chain stores?
Not anywhere close to where I was. The best you could do was like a record store. And they had a lot of used CDs and tapes, and I got a lot of my music from that particular record store in Sand Springs, Oklahoma. Like back when I was a kid. But so I made friends just because like I started listening to a lot of the same music that a lot of these kids were listening to, and like, you know, back in those days, it didn't matter if you were a freak or if you wore weird clothes or like if you sat by yourself. If you listened to Korn, you were part of a fucking army.
You were in.
Yeah, you were.
Korn kids.
And,
Korn kids, like we called it in high school.
Totally.
Yeah,
They saved me, man. And like the friends that I made, you know, because of, you know, that band and like a lot of bands like it, Deftones, especially Deftones.
Yeah. So what were your like top 5 bands when you were like 16, 17 years old, when you were?
Well, so 16's a little older than where I am right now in this story.
Oh,
so
we haven't made it to high school.
We're not just there yet, but okay. So I think it was like 1997. I was at a buddy of mine's house, and his older sister rented a movie called Strangeland, and if you haven't heard of it, I don't blame you, because it's very not many people have. But if you have heard of it, it's Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, and he plays this character in this movie. It's about this like internet stalker that like gets girls like basically like preys on them in chat rooms and shit, and like, you know, gets them or whatever, and like it's a really, really sick, fucked up kind of movie. But at the end of the movie, they were playing music videos from like songs that were in the video.
Mm-hmm.
The very first video that popped up was this.
Venus seen it. Yeah, anybody else seen that movie? Crazy, but a good one.
Yeah, if you've seen it, man, you know. And if you waited until after the credits, the very first video that pops up is this black and white video of these dudes just killing it on stage. And that band was Seven Dust, and that song was Bitch. And that changed my fucking life, man. Like, when I learned about Morgan Rose, that it really, like, I hadn't even really discovered Danny Carey yet, which is good because I got a lot of my footwork from Morgan Rose. Like, I knew that, like, a lot of the power came not from the downbeat, but from that kick just before the downbeat. And, like, that sort of studying him and you know, I immediately went to that record store and I found their first self-titled album on CD, and it was like $7, which was insane back then. I was like, that's a lot of money. Bought it anyway, completely fell in love.
Yeah, worth it.
It was like that next summer, or maybe the summer after, they released Home, their second album, and I waited in line for like an hour for that one. And
remember those days when you had to wait?
Yeah. Dude, yeah, and it was so worth it, man. It was so worth it. That was that to this day, like that's still probably like one of my favorite all-time records. So anyway, Logan is 16 now. What 5 bands is he into? First and foremost, Journey was always like, that was it for me. Like when I was a kid, the first song I fell in love with was "Wheel in the Sky" by Journey.
Wheel in the sky, keep on turning. Yeah, it's a good one.
My first name is William, and so when I heard that song when I was a kid, I was like, "Is he saying Will in the sky?"
Is he talking about me?
Yeah.
I had this like strange like kind of connection. I'm like, what's going on exactly? But anyway, like completely fell in love with Steve Perry, but fell in love with Steve Smith, the drummer. Like that was the very first drummer that I really fell in love with. And mind you, like I knew who Neil Peart was, and I knew who all these drummers were, but Steve Smith did it. So definitely Steve Smith, definitely Journey, definitely Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, particularly Theater of Pain. Shout at the Devil also, but so definitely Journey, definitely Motley Crue. Who was next? Definitely Korn back in those days. Follow the Leader was just about to come out, and that was just about to change everyone's lives.
I know, right? Yeah, that was a big one.
I was a Life is Peachy guy too, so I was like,
yeah, Life is Peachy.
I was like, man. But so yeah, Korn, Tool. I did discover Tool by then, and I would say Seven Dust for sure. And especially like a lot of my playing now, I don't really like play like any of those guys. Maybe a little bit more like Steve Smith than anybody. But like I especially don't really play like, you know, Morgan Rose or, you know, Tommy Lee or anything, but like it just inspired me just enough to like really sort of like, you know, start trying to take it seriously, you know? And then, yeah, I got a drum kit shortly after that. My first band was in the 8th grade, and we were a Nirvana cover band. Like, we just played, like, Nirvana and, like, some Blink-182 songs, which is kind of funny. It was like, all right, we're going to play Breed by Nirvana, but then we're going to play All the Small Things by Blink-182. Which we got to pick. Like, we got to stick to one. And I would play, I'd play my guitarist's older brother's drum set. Like he would let me play his drum set, but he watched me the entire time. and like he wouldn't let me adjust any. If I
He was
needed
that
it,
kind of drummer, like watching you, like
he was.
Play as is.
better not.
Yeah, but he let
my
me play
brim.
it, and I didn't care. Like it was a big deal that he even let me play it. But so I'd have to be like, hey, I need to raise this cymbal up a little bit, and he's like, I'll do it. Like would raise it up.
Is this good? Is this high enough? Yeah.
Yeah. But so that was kind of like my first, like my introduction, and like my parents were supportive in the sense that like they were happy that I wanted to do something, but like financially they couldn't. They were like, just figure it out, mow some yards or whatever. So like being a drummer and not really having any money or like any kind of bankroll, you're just like, well, what do we do? Like, what are we gonna play? So like, I was in school band, like that was like the easiest way to kind of like play drums.
Get practice.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, I remember like my very first drum instructor was like going over these like 16th note, 8th note exercises. And I would hear something and I'm like, that's that one drum beat in that Bad Company song. And I was like, I got that. I already know how to play that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just kind of like always reference these songs that I knew, like growing up or whatever. But yeah.
So what was your first drum set that you got when you like? And
That
how
was
old were you?
yours. That was completely yours.
Like an actual, like full on, like, all right, like I'm being, this is like when I'm actually serious, I'm playing. I got this now nice 5-piece kit. Which one was it?
Well, all right. So the very first one that I really tried to like, I became a pretty good drummer on it. I couldn't tell you the name of it. Like it was a used kit from a pawn shop, and I think it was like what would be comparable to like a CB 700 or something, these days. And I have no idea what it was even called, but it was just a white drum set, chrome hardware, like nothing to it. In fact, I think it was like this off-white. Like it wasn't even white. It was like this like kind of dull white.
It's sitting in the sun for a while.
Yeah, I think it originally was white.
Kit,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, cream.
So I got that, and like, the drum heads were all like original to the kit, so like just
Dirty
terrible.
white.
Yeah, we're just like sitting there with a roll of duct tape for hours, like just please sound good, please. And so I remember so when I was in the 8th grade, I went to whatever class it was, like English class or something like that. Oh no, it was English. I sat behind this kid who was always like, he was cool, man. Like he came to school one day with a Korn tour shirt on, and I was like, what the fuck, man? You saw Korn? And he's like, yeah, dude. This weekend we went to and like he was just
like the dude. He's like, you actually go see live bands?
Yeah. And so like he would tell me about bands sometimes, like, he was still like a little too intimidating. Like I hadn't really kind of found myself yet.
Aww.
So like I was so embarrassingly shy to like, or nervous to like talk to anybody about anything.
Yeah, plus growing up there, it's kind of hard for big bands to go there, right? To different, like you lived in a small town, right?
Yeah. Well, and the closest town to where I was Tulsa, but you had to have money for concert tickets, and like even like just like bringing money up, like my parents would just like leave the room. They would just like walk out of the room, So like,
yeah, what is that?
Like, I'm never going to see these guys live, And I remember one day I went into class, and Justin was his name. I can't think of his last name, but Justin was sitting right in front of me, and he just in one motion just like turned around and passed me this blank CD, and he goes, "Listen to this," and turned back around, and I flipped it up, and it was just a blank CD, and all it said was Slipknot, and I was like, "What the fuck is Slipknot?"
What?
I went home and about cried. Like that was the most intense, like insane drumming I had ever heard. And I was just like, what is going on? And like I hadn't listened to much like, metal like in those days, it was always like rock and roll.
And the fact that there's like multiple percussionists in that band, it's like, what is being played here? Like, how is this happening?
When I first heard Slipknot, it's like the impression you get
beating
when you're
on like
so
the keg
young.
cans and stuff.
It's like, oh, they're gonna be huge.
I didn't know what they looked like. I didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
It was just a blank CD with Slipknot on it. And I put it in and listened to it. And then like a week later or something, I'm flipping through a hit parader and there's a picture of them. Like probably like the first picture of them as a band. And I was speechless. I just like had it laying open and I was just like, oh my God.
He was in love.
No. I was so like confused or like, I don't know how to
these guys
explain
are
it.
real?
Is this real
wow.
life?
I was like, these guys are what I'm listening to. And like, I just like sat there and like tried to make that connection.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is insane. Cause like I expected them to be like a really metal band. And then like, boom, you don't know what they look like. They're all in that suits. And I'm
The
just like,
first impression.
this is insane. Yeah. They're just like hammering kegs with a baseball bat. And I'm like, this is not healthy.
And then when you see them perform and like the things that happen.
Well, was
like,
it the drummer that would jerk off his nose, or was it something else?
It was the guy with the long nose.
Yeah, who?
That was
That was one of them. That was one of the other
bass player, right?
One of the other percussionists, right?
Yeah, one of the guys up on the drum in the front.
You guys know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, but no, yeah, and all right,
Number...
so I got into those guys, and so when I heard Slipknot, and I don't think I'm really exaggerating when I say that any bit of like innocence that like music has ever like brought into my life fucking burned away like right then and there.
There goes
and
the wholesomeness in that boy.
we're going to the dark side. Yeah, no, and I was like, okay, so what's next? And back to that Strangeland movie that I was talking about. Like I found Seven Dust through them. I found a band called Coal Chamber through that movie.
Coal Chamber. Oh my God, Venix is screaming behind that's his favorite band.
Yeah. So and it was again like I've got these like there is this style of music that's just like dark and like shoved up under this rock, you know, that like
their bass player made me get a bass because she's so freaking hot, and I was like, I saw them live right now. I was like,
that such an awesome band, but they looked so cool, and like they just looked almost like, you know, like undead or something, you know, like there was just like something like.
And then when they perform, like there's like these actions and kind of like what I do when I sing Sleep Token, and I'm just like
like puppets almost.
Yeah. Well, and so music definitely, and like my appreciation for music in general, like completely changed after you know, kind of discovering like the heavier stuff. But then like when I got older, you know, it became like a lot more, and I say like when I got older, like a few years down the road, it became like pretty much like Tool, like full time. And I had all of this like aggressive playing that I like, you know, learned through, you know, all these different drummers, you know, like Morgan Rose and Joey Jordison, and you know, and so like I would practice, you know, keeping up with those guys, but then like I'd put Tool in, and Tool is nothing you can just like really understand the first like few times you listen to it. Like you really have to like wait until your brain is understanding what they're trying to tell you, you know? And that became way more fascinating to me than just trying to, you know, play as heavy and as fast as I could. But yeah, so yeah, I'm glad I you know, discovered, you know, all the other drummers that I did, but like when I found Danny Carey, I went from like, you know, a bit more of a spastic kind of noodly drummer to like precision, like and as precise as I could be, you
more
know,
rhythmic.
Yeah. Like actually, you know, because you've got to keep a time while the guitar player is playing a rhythm that's completely fighting the rhythm you're trying to, you know, play in, and you know, once you kind of, you know,
kind of like weave through it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I don't know.
So white drum set, right? Or off-white drum set.
Off-white drum set.
Grungy white.
And then
Yeah, I had that thing for a while. I had that thing up until I was in high school, actually. I didn't play on it as much in the last like couple of years that I had it. A guitar player that I joined up with a little later on had a way better drum set. I would just play his. But I had a summer job the summer before my junior year, I think. Junior year or senior year, I can't remember which, but saved up like $1,100 and marched into Guitar Center and bought a.
How old were you when you bought your first?
I was 17.
That sounds just like the same thing that happened to me. We have a lot of things in common.
Yeah, at 18, I got my kit.
I
worked all summer just to get a freaking drum kit. Yeah.
I did too, man. Like, and I walked in and dropped every dollar I had on that thing, and then like walked out completely broke. But
Worth it.
I got a drum set.
Oh yeah. And so funny story. It was this construction gig that I was doing. I was working with a buddy of mine's dad, just kind of doing like renovations on houses, and I was hanging siding that day. And on our lunch break, he takes me to Guitar Center. I buy this drum set, throw it in the truck. You know, when I get home, I'm gonna set that thing up and play the shit out of it. So I'm thinking of that. You know, that's all I care about. And we're back from lunch. I'm back up on the ladder trying to hang some siding. The ground like kind of shifts a little bit underneath me, like the flower bed that we were in. And I've come off this ladder, like this like 13, 14 foot ladder or whatever it was, like right on my right ankle.
Ooh.
Like right on it, like rolled the hell out of it. Didn't break it or anything, but I rolled it really, really bad. And so like I'm limping the rest of the day. And so I get home, dude, and like I can't play this drum kit because like I'm right-footed, man, and I just.
Oh man! Like how soon after?
Well, so I set it up that night, and that next day, my ankle was even worse. Like, I couldn't do anything. I was like, this is insane. And so
that was a tease.
Yeah, and I was just sitting there behind it, like like miserable, like a football player with a broken arm, just holding the football, like. And for whatever reason, I was just like, use your left foot. And I was like, okay. So I just like started like trying to play beats, like very simple at first, and like I never got, anywhere past like very simple. But I sat down and like I was playing that damn drum set. And I was really pumped up. And by about like the 5th day or so, like I was getting pretty good with my left foot. Like, surprisingly, I was like, this actually isn't as hard as I was thinking it was going to be. It was really tough because like the hat was over on the same side. So I would literally like clutch it. I'd kick and clutch it with the same foot. I would just like.
Was it a double kick? Like
No, I would literally, it was a double kick. So I did have the slave pedal over here, but I would angle my foot to where I could clutch the hi-hat.
But okay.
So I was like on both of them. So anyway, so I did that for a little bit, and my right foot got better. Like I could finally like put pressure on it and like stand on it, and sat down and was just insane on double kicks because like my left foot was just not as strong, but like it was
you
pretty
exercised
strong.
It enough to get to the point where you can just roll on it now.
Yeah. Well, and I could like so I used to do a lot more double kick stuff when I was younger. I stopped for a long time and then kind of came back into it. So like, it's kind of one of those things, like you don't ever want to quit because your brain will stop kind of working that way. And what you you need to do, your brain just like isn't going to allow you to do it, and it's easy to like let that happen with drums, like if you go a long time without it. And I could lead 16th notes with my right foot and then just switch to my left foot and like just back and forth, and they sounded really smooth. And so I was like very impressed, that was pretty sweet. But it made all of my double kick playing, like a little later on, like a lot easier. Like I could just kind of like pick up on things a lot easier. But I think that like I definitely wouldn't have spent near the time working on that left foot if I hadn't have fallen off that ladder that one day.
Wow. What were
Weird
the chances?
Yeah.
So do you feel like you could do both? Like, how some people are, what do you call it?
Ambidextrous.
Like, yeah.
Somewhat. And again, like if I give myself like a month to practice it, yes. And, but if I'm just doing it right now, it'd be probably pretty sloppy. But
and put in that time.
yeah.
So,
And guys, I wanted to just really quick announce that if you want to be on the podcast here with us and call in through Discord, command Discord, if you're a VIP or if you're sub 3 months or more, you can talk to Logan and us and ask him a question. So don't be shy. Come in on the Discord.
it's only 5 minutes left for you guys to join in, so take advantage of this time to hop in and ask Logan a question or two.
Any of the drummers, anybody that wants to just come in and say hi to Logan, say some words or ask a question, anything. It's open for you guys to come in and ask a question.
So let's talk about what you currently have right now. Like, it looks like you've upgraded a lot since you got your first kit, right?
Yeah.
So what are you running now? What's your setup looking like?
This is it's a kit built by a company called Chicago Custom Percussion. Just a custom drum kit company outside of Chicago, and they closed down like 8 years ago, I think now, 8 years ago or something. I was out on tour with a band called Fire to Reason, which by the way, I did a lot of damn touring right out of high school, and I'm sure it pretty much works the same way now. But if you're playing a lot, people are a lot more willing to, throw, endorsement offers, your way. And I was out on tour, and we were in, I think we were in like St. Louis or somewhere. And I had just finished playing the set, and I had a Mapex Pro M at the time. Really like too pretty, you know what I mean? It was like this like blue to white fade. It was like this really pretty kit, and I was playing this like post-punk hardcore like
it didn't fit the vibe.
It did not fit the vibe. And so I finished the gig, and I'm packing up backstage, and this guy comes up to me, and he was in the band before we played, and I didn't realize it at the time, but he's like, "Hey man, when you got a second, when you're finished doing all this, if you can meet me at the bar, I want to buy you a beer." And I was like, "All right, cool," because you're on tour, man. Like a free beer, you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so I get over there, and he's like, "Look, dude, I'm starting a drum company, and I want you on my roster." And I was like, "Well, that sounds cool and all, but like,
what's the catch?"
yeah, let's like, and that was it. He was just like, "I know who you guys are." He goes, and I know how often you play. He goes, and like it'd be our honor to build you a drum kit. He goes, and the way that you play, it'd be stupid for us to let some other drum company, give you a drum set or whatever. Whatever he told me, he sold it. He was like, "Free beer," I was like, "Whatever, man."
I'm getting this beer.
Yeah. And so, like 2 months, and that was it. He was just like, "I'll be in touch," and I was like, "Yeah, okay," and like forgot about him immediately.
Wow.
Then like 2 months later, I got an email, and he's like, "Give me a call," and he had a little logo at the bottom, and I was like, okay. Called him up, and he's like, "Just tell us your specs, like exactly what you want, like exactly, and we'll build it." And I sat there, man, for a while, and it was just like, it's one thing to like pick something out of a magazine that's like already there, but like it's another when they're just like
Custom.
Yeah,
like how deep, how thick you want it to be, what kind of wood, like.
Oh yeah,
all the,
How thick? What kind of wood?
How thick of a wood do you have?
Look, that's a very like that's intense.
Yeah.
Like, because again, like I can pick a cool looking set out of a bunch of sets, but to sit there and think like, okay, what would be the coolest set, and this is what I came up with. And so it's a I don't know that you can see all that well, but so basically it's matte black with mirror chrome inlay.
Ooh, that's nice.
Around all the drums and the kick drum also. I think maybe you can you can't really see the kick drum that well, but yeah, and like spec wise, hardware, lug placement, everything imaginable. I designed. Like I completely just sat here and just told them exactly what I would want. And then a couple of months later, we're out on tour again in I think we were playing Chicago. I think we were actually in Chicago. They show up to the gig with this kit, like all cased up and just like, here you go.
Wow.
Like,
It's amazing.
And which is awesome. But I was in a situation where I had 2 drum sets and only room for one. And I'm on tour, man. Like, there's no like, let me swing this by my house real quick. Like, I've got 33 more days before I'm even home. And so I found a kid back home that was interested in my old kit. Just shelled it all up inside the kick drum and shipped it UPS back home for a lot of money, man. It was like a ridiculous amount of lot. But I didn't really have a choice. It was like, just donate it.
You got to make the space, you know, like.
Yeah. So they brought this to me, and I've been playing it ever since. When they built it, though, I only had the one rack tom. It was a 12, 14, 16, and then like 8 years later, or no, like whatever, like 6 years later or something. I was like, yo, I'm interested in a 10-inch rack tom, and they're like, say no more. And then like
That's so
like 3
sweet.
weeks later, they just shipped it to me. And
Are you still
so,
associated with the drum company? Like, you're still part of the?
No. Well, so I guess like, you know, there's some paperwork somewhere that says I am, but they've completely closed down. Like, they're not building anymore.
So you got a really custom, limited. That's it. No one can have that ever again.
Yeah, it's the only one like it. And granted, there are a lot of black drum sets with chrome stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Not from that company.
Not all that. But yeah, this exact kit. Yeah, I'm the only one that's ever had it.
and also the specs, like the depth and all that. It's
Yeah.
unique to you, like of what you like in your
well,
tone.
So tone wise, especially with the ply of the shell. So on a normal kick drum head, or a normal kick is a 10 ply shell, and on toms it's an 8 ply shell. And that's just like standard. All of my toms are 10 ply, and my kick is a 12 ply. So it's just like
They're heavier.
upgrade in ply. Yeah, but the tone just cuts through so much more. And the and all I really had to compare it to was the kit that I played on before. And yeah, just like as soon as I played, especially the toms on this one, I was like, this is insane. Like, it sounds freaking ridiculous.
Punchy. Doesn't have like a lot of like overtone to him.
Not really, no. And I mean, any of the overtone, I do like some. Like, I do like it to resonate. You know, I like the natural resonation. I don't want to cut it off, you know, too quick. But I just dampen with like I for the top, like the rack toms, I just cut a moon gel in half and put one on each just to kind of dampen it a little bit, and then, you know, floor toms too, just to kind of match a little bit of the, you know, tightness, I guess.
That's awesome. And we just got a raid in from Vladrick.
Vladrick, another fellow drummer.
A feather drummer.
Imagine, redeem feathers for drums. It would only work on like the electronic kits, probably.
Still won't be able to hear anything.
It's like, what's up, Vladrick?
He's another drummer here on Twitch.
Another Dream Theater fanatic that could play really amazing.
See, there we go. Team Danny Carey is not looking too good.
It's okay.
It's like me over here, and I'm just like, whatever.
For those of you that are just tuning in, coming into the podcast for the very first time, or the first time in a long time, we have Logan Kennedy drums here, hailing from, what was it? Arkansas, but I'm trying to think of the town.
Yeah, Little Rock's
Little
close
Rock.
enough.
There you go. He's been he's a touring drummer. He's been in quite a few bands, and we want to dive into like your experiences in your tour.
Yeah.
Now that, you know, we by the way, the sub waiting area is now closed, so no questions from people to
Nobody
come in.
wanted to come in and ask a question,
But
Vladric.
If you have questions,
Vladric,
you can post them in
Matt.
chat, and we'll read them to Logan as we get them. But yeah, like
I've also listened to your other band. What was the other band?
the Elephants one. What the
Becoming Elephant.
Becoming
Yes.
Elephants. That band is killer. We were on Spotify listening to a bunch of songs. Well, one of them, which one was is what a P. There was so many. Pacific, yeah, that one was amazing. That one stuck to me really. Like I love that one, and yeah, I was listening to a few of them, and it just like I was like, this band is hot. This is like really freaking like it's the kind of music that we like to put on when we're like really pumped, and it has no lyrics. It's just instrumental, but it's like proggy and so like math rock. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, kind of. It was just kind of just progressive, I suppose.
isn't math rock progressive rock?
Yeah, because it was like the categories of all the music that it was categorized, and it said that, and I was like, oh yeah, we've had people on here call their band math rock, and I'm like, is that progressive rock? Is the same type of?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of addition and multiplication.
I think you're a math rock band, like if you count out loud.
If you're counting.
I wonder who said that. Like, it's okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like you're math rock.
It's complicated. It's what it
You're
is.
not repeating numbers. Yeah.
It's complicated rock.
You're progressive if you just play it. If you're just like, okay, whatever.
If you know it's 7, you're playing it. You're not counting it. It's not math.
Yeah.
But what an amazing band. How do you still tour with them? Because I know you were with them a long time too.
Yeah, we don't play very much anymore. Everyone's got things going on, and me and the bassist both have a baby now. One guitarist lives in Nashville, and another owns a music store, and so it's like to find the time to actually just like get together and make it all work. Because when we did that first album, it was pretty much all any of us really had going on at the time, and it was kind of easy to, put ideas together. And, we didn't mean to be an instrumental band. We just couldn't find a vocalist that, sounded like we wanted, I guess.
It doesn't need it. It doesn't need. It's like every instrument is its own like.
It sings on its own.
Yeah, it's like it has its own. I don't think that every band needs to have a singer, and I think some people don't get it. Like you don't need somebody to dictate the vibe of the song is its own like vibe. So you know what I mean? Like it doesn't need words sometimes for me.
Yeah, it got kind of weird too because like, so we decided that we were going to be instrumental, or I mean like we were at least going to kind of go that direction. And so we started writing the parts to be, especially the guitar, and our one of our guitarists also played alto saxophone, and so
I love that.
We had a sax set up for him on stage, mic'd up, and like we would play, and then like he would just start playing sax, and like so we kind of filled where like vocal melody and harmony would be. And we just kind of like, you know what I mean? Just kind of, I don't know, just filled the void as much as we could with saxophone and stuff. I don't know. But
it works.
Yeah. So I guess as far as like touring and things like that, like so right out of high school, like I worked full time pretty much through high school. I've been completely on my own since I was right at 17, and so I worked full time, and I was the only one of any of my friends that like had an apartment, like in high school, and like one of those kinds of situations. But I had to work nonstop, and right out of high school, I decided I was gonna give myself a year just to keep working and get caught up on bills and things like that before I really started to explore universities and things, because I was completely on my own. Like I didn't have parents kind of like helping me with any of the applications or anything. It was just like, okay, whenever you have time where you can actually like commit to it, you know, you got to take care of it. And so I gave myself a year just to not stress too much. And I worked and played music, you know, when I could. And then like right around the time that I was actually going to, you know, go ahead and start applying to some schools, I got an offer to join a band, and they were always out on the road. And so, again, another one of those crossroads, like go this way, do drumline, you know, do whatever, university and graduate with whatever degree, or go this way and throw your shit in the back of this van and maybe never see home again, you know? So everything that I had already kind of done and everything that sort of like led me up to where I was, it was a no-brainer. I was just like, well, rock and roll was always fucking there for me. And all of this other stuff is just, it seems like I'm just trying to like help or benefit another idea and not just like me, you know? And so, you know, I didn't have anything to lose, you know, to me. And so threw my stuff in the van and we were gone. And I played.
And which band was this one? Which one was that one?
This was a band called the Frail Division. We did. We had a developmental deal with Jimmy Landry from Virgin Records, which was then they merged and became the Capitol Music Group with Capitol Records. But so like pretty much like right out of like my high school mindset, we're working with A&Rs and like doing all this shit and like getting invited to South by Southwest and like, you know, going on the road like, you know, all the time. And you know, and that was pretty much it. Like I was making enough money doing that to where like I didn't really have to work very much whenever we were actually home. And so did that for a little while. That band kind of fizzled out, and like immediately after that, another band came to my work. Actually, I was working at a gas station. This was like 2006, probably 2007. Working at a gas station, and these guys came in and knew who I was, and they're like, "Yo, dude, not sure what your plans are or if you're gonna stick around here, but we've got a tour starting in 2 weeks, and we're willing to pay you to quit your job right now." And I was like, "Well, what are you gonna pay me?" They're like,
I mean, you were working at a gas station, like, bye.
Yeah. Well, and I was just like, "Well, how much are you gonna pay me?" And they're like, $500 cash right now. And I was like, "I fucking quit."
For $500, that's it. Come on, come to New York. I'll give you $500.
Yeah, to me, man, that was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money back then. Yeah.
Yeah, and like my bills were paid, and I still had like $150 on me or whatever, and like, you know, to me that was plenty. And tour started, and off we went. And
Johannes.
I did and that was Fire to Reason, and I went on tour with those guys. The first tour, like that tour that started in 2 weeks, that was a 37-day tour, and that was like my first like full tour, like. And like anybody that's ever toured before, you get these like kind of like you get the blues a little bit like your first like day or so.
Homesick.
Yeah, you're like, hey, man, I'm getting further and further from my bed, you know, like
nothing like your bed.
The blues sort of set in, but then like after that, you know, the road is there and the shows are there and you're kind of in that mindset. But then like 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, you're like, shit, I'm missing home again. And like you start kind of getting the blues again. So like
it's like a wave.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's one thing when you're gone for 2 weeks, but it's another when you're gone for 2 months, you know, or 3 months.
Yeah.
It takes a
toll after a while. And then you don't have really that great of like the food is on the road is like limited sometimes.
You're sleeping on like hard floors.
Yeah. I have no idea how I survived a lot of those years. Like I have no idea. Like looking back on them, I'm just like, that was insane. But and it was like, so with Fire to Reason, that was just like balls to the wall, like no click track, just 4 count, and we're playing as heavy as we fucking can for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and just, pull yourself off stage, like try to kind of get it together, drive to the next town, do it again, like that, like all the time. And I got used to being on the road, but I also got used to like how, very inconsistent it can be, because like certain towns you show up and you have friends and you probably have a place to stay, but other times, you show up, you don't know anybody and you don't have a place to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's just like find a truck stop parking lot, and get a few hours before you have to drive somewhere else. So it became like, after I was in the band and completely solidified, once we would pull up to a venue, they would all turn back to me. They're like, all right, dude, we need you to find us somewhere to stay or something, because like I kind of like came into my own a little bit and was able to just sort of like talk to people a lot easier, like once rock and roll sort of becomes,
you gotta be the guy. You gotta be somebody in the band has to be that person that has more of a connections.
I mean, you just kind of like find this like attitude, that you didn't know you had before, and like that confidence and shit, none of the traits that I had, like in school, you know what I mean, like. And so and it was like that for years. We would just try and find a place to stay. We never really made a whole lot of money. It was always basically just enough to get some bills paid and then back out on the road.
Yeah,
and,
it's hard.
Yeah, so from like 2006 until 2000 and the end of 2000, no, like middle of 2011, I think it was. I was with them and it was nonstop. And I think, just to give you an idea, I think it was 2010, we were home for 39 days.
Wow.
Yeah, that entire year.
Total. Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So being on the road that long, you must have some of the craziest stories. So we always ask this story, like, what was that one story that you think back, you're like, whoa, I survived that, or that really happened? What's the craziest one? And it's okay because this is an 18+ channel. So go ahead, tell us what was the most horrific or funniest, or even like very scary story, because Matt had some great ones, I remember.
Mm.
I'll tell this one. Okay, so I was with Fair To Reason up until that time. And I'll give a little bit of a precursor into the Fair To Midland thing also, because my story involves Fair To Midland.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2005, I'm in let me back up quite a bit. I had this like rock and roll band, very like Mr. Bungle meets like
Mr. Bungle
meets like I don't know.
Where's Michael C. Stone?
Yeah.
Something crazy. Maybe Melvin's. Like maybe like Mr. Bungle meets Melvin's.
Wow.
And we were a 3-piece, and it was just like chaos. Like we would just just get on stage and just go ape shit for a little while. So I got a call from my guitar player one day. I was actually at work teaching drums at a music store in Conway, Arkansas. Got a call from him that and it was like a Tuesday night that these touring bands came through and they needed an opener. They had an opener. They had to drop out. They needed us, pretty much, that kind of thing. So get to the venue, and it's a Tuesday night. There's fucking nobody there. Like, we didn't make any money. We just gave all our money to the touring guys. But so there's a band called 32 Leaves out of Arizona. And they were on tour with a band called Fair To Midland out of Texas. And first time meeting any of them. And we played together to literally nobody. Like, we were just playing for the bands pretty much. And I got a CD from Cliff, from the guitar player. And it was just kind of like a merch swap kind of thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love them or anything like that. They were just a band. And like, back in those days, it was like, your band is trying to kick their band's ass. You know what I mean?
It's like a
it's
competition almost.
Like a rival. Yeah,
kind of is. You know? And now it's not so much. Now when you get older, you're like, whatever, man.
Whatever. We're all trying to make it out here.
Yeah.
You know.
Drink some white wine together.
White wine.
Let's swap stories, crazy stories.
Yeah. Well, so played with those guys, got a CD, opened it and actually listened to it like a month later, and like it stayed in my CD player for like 2 years straight, man. Fell in love with that band, and I was just like, no one has ever heard of these guys. Like I would always bring them up. No one had ever heard of them, and I was just like, you've got to listen to this band. And I would try and find them, like try and find clips on their MySpace page and shit. This is like back in the MySpace
days. Yeah, we all had band pages.
Yeah. Well, literally just like fell in love with them. And then I found out they were playing at Trees in Dallas. And I left work one day, got in my car, and by myself just drove straight to Dallas just to see them play. And I did that several times. Like I caught them several times and like became friends with the guys like over time. And Cliff, the guitarist, you know, like he recognized me as soon as, no matter what venue they were playing or how many years it had been, as soon as I walked in, he was just like immediately like saw me, and you know, built kind of a pretty good friendship. And I was watching them play one night. I was in Fair To Reason, and we had a little break from the road. I was at a Fair To Midland show, and the drummer, Brett, there was just something kind of weird going on, like this weird sort of like, not sure if it was like animosity or like this like weird tension or whatever, but like between him and the other guys, there was like something going on.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Cliff after the show, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I was like, everyone can feel that. You know what I mean?
Like the
crowd
vibes don't lie.
Yeah. And he was just like sitting there smoking a cigarette, and he was just like, yeah, and like just kind of like, you know, almost defeated by it. And he's just like, you know, whatever. And I was like, look, dude, I was like, and I'm not trying to, you know, step on anybody's toes. Or,
I see where this is
like,
going.
Let me slide in there. Hold on.
Wait a second, you know?
Yeah. I was like, look, dude, if you ever need me, man, just give me a call.
Yeah.
And he was like, I appreciate that, man. And like a year later, or like something like that, it had been like some time. I'm out on tour with Fair To Reason, and those guys started drinking like really, really heavily, like unhealthy, like heavy.
Ew.
So much to the point where like I kind of made my mind up that I was gonna like finish that tour up. I was either going to finish that tour up or I was gonna get a bus ticket home and just.
They were like sloppy. They were getting sloppy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was bad. Performances were everything was showing. And I remember we were in Ohio. We were in like Cleveland, and the show canceled. So like we're in a like a Walmart parking lot, and they're just drinking. Just really, it's
like the Bush beer, like that. What is that cheap ass beer?
No, like vodka, just like big.
Oh, so they just want to get
getting heavy.
fucked up all the time.
Yeah, and I couldn't hang with it. Like I tried, you know, but I couldn't drink like
too
that.
much.
Like, especially like I can't afford like my performances to go to shit.
Yeah.
You know, you guys can at least ride my back if you get wasted, but like I can't play like that, you know.
I guess
And
someone's
so,
got to carry the band.
Yeah, and then the drummer always is like the one that's I think the most level, right? Like they're trying to make, because they see everything happening in the front.
You see the guitar is like stumbling over his foot, and like
and you're just like, oh, this fucking guy right here.
Yeah, just try to not side eye him, you know. Just try and look away.
It's like a horrible movie scene happening
you're
in front
just
of you
seeing
while
everything
you're
in
playing
the back.
drums.
Like, you're just like, it's just there, the whole thing.
I'm gonna share a quick story, and then you can continue. I was in a band called Lucifer at Work.
Yes.
Right there, you already know.
And we played at the most Christian neighborhood. And you can see where this is going. So
That's not gonna go well.
So there was these like just a bunch of like elderly people in the crowd, and the lyrics and the singer was very controversial with what he says. And I'm just there playing the music. I enjoyed the music as a whole because I never paid attention to the lyrics. And then next thing you know it, the guy that was running the show, obviously he didn't do his homework and understood what we were. He decided to try to stop the show 2 songs in. He was like, "You guys got to cut it off. This is too much. You got to go." Right. And then the singer was like, "No, we're going to keep playing."
So, buddy.
So we played the next song, and then they cut the audio and the power off halfway through the song. And he goes, "Fuck it, we'll play it a cappella."
Oh my God.
So I'm still playing the drums, and then they try to take the guitar and everything away from him. And then there was just like this big feud happening in front of me, and I'm seeing everything in slow motion with, like, in my mind, it's like a symphony happening, and everything's happening slow motion. Guitarist throwing his guitar at the person. The crew from the stage is grabbing other musicians. I'm over here like taking my cymbals down, just watching everything in slow. The guy helping me take my cymbals down, I'm like, "I'm so sorry." Yeah, man, it was so crazy.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, they should have known by your name, by the name, but it was abbreviated.
It was abbreviated. It was LAW. It was just law. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Awesome.
That's crazy.
It's all good until the acronym gets busted open and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
The cops got called. It was crazy. But yes, continue. Drunken story.
Yeah. So,
Walmart, right? It's always in a Walmart parking lot. Nothing good happens there.
I've never had a good experience in a Walmart parking lot.
No, never. I don't think anyone has.
So, and it's raining its ass off. We've got like I said, show canceled on us. They're just drinking. And I walk outside and I've got my hoodie on, and I just put my hood up and I'm just standing there in the rain. And just so I don't know, heartbroken or something, just defeated. I put all my effort into this and we're 1,700 miles away from my house. And I can't get home without these guys. And if I tried, I'm just gonna I don't know, go completely broke trying, So it's strange how this happened. But I'm standing there and I have that thought, I have that initial thought, and I feel my phone vibrate, and immediately I just think it's whatever, my roommate or something.
Ooh.
And pick it up and it's Cliff Campbell from Fair To Midland.
There you go.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? And I'm standing there in the rain. And I'm just like, "What's up, man?" And he goes, "Hey, you got a second?" And I was like,
It's like a movie scene.
Yeah, what's up?
I mean, I got years if you need me. What do you got?
Yeah, it's like October in Ohio in the rain. I'm just like,
man. Somebody was looking after you up there. Yeah, that's the thing. I always say, you always got to say things always work out at the end. Shit like that happens to me all the time. And it's because you manifest these things. Okay, this didn't work out, then boom, this new opportunity, this new thing comes, and it makes everything all clear again, So that was meant to be right there.
I think you should always go with your gut. And I never made, up until that point, I'd never made a decision based off of someone going, "Well, what if that didn't work out? Or what if this all falls apart and you don't have anything?" Because I already didn't have anything.
You just had to look around you. You were in a Walmart parking lot, drunk guys.
Well, yeah. So he calls me and he's like,
in the rain.
He's like, "I need you." Before he even got into that, he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm actually out on tour right now in the band I play for." And he goes, how many days until you're home?" And I was like, "We'll be home in 15 days." And he goes, "I need you in Texas in 16 days. I was like, "Okay." And he goes, he's like, call me when you get home." And I was just like, "Okay." And he's like, "All right, bye." And he just hung up. And I was like, still standing in the rain. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Did I just...
Yes.
No context. Just call me when you get home because I need you in Texas.
Yay! I'll meet you there.
I hung up the phone and I checked my phone and I'd been standing out there in the rain for almost 40 minutes at this point. And I'm just soaked. And so I get off the phone with him and I step inside and everybody's passed out already. They're all just laying around passed out.
Disgusting.
And so I immediately I go back to my little couch bed area because we had this RV bus, and I go to my little area and put in my earbuds and I start listening to Fair to Midland, and I started just learning songs. And so not a lot of people knew that like I was a massive fan of these guys before I had a chance to play for them. So like the fact that I got a call from those guys, that's like
a dream come true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like anything. That's like, you know, getting a call from whatever. That's like Darkman getting a call from Dream Theater. You know,
Yeah.
it's like one of those things. And like, now granted, Fair to Midland isn't as big as Dream Theater or any of those bands, but like to me, nothing was bigger than those guys. And like, I had built this connection with listening to them, you know, and like going to their shows that like, that was it for me. And so I got home from tour, literally get back home from that tour, and I'm driving. Like I drove us from wherever we were, like Springfield, Missouri or somewhere, back home. And we get there out in front of the venue that we parked at, where everybody's cars were and shit, and everybody's still passed out. And so I get there and I put it in park, kill the ignition, and I start moving my drums into my car. And I drove home, and I went to sleep, woke up, did a little laundry, drove straight to Texas pretty much. And got down there, rehearsed for a few hours with them, just like one-time playthrough on a lot of these songs that like I'd never even tried to play to. Like I've listened to hundreds of times, but I've never tried to play them. And went down, ran the set one time, got the gig, left for tour like 2 days after that.
The fact that you had time to really, like, because you were a big fan, regardless if you actually sat down and played to the songs, it was just through memory of like how the patterns were, and you kind of filled in the blanks from there.
Well, and so and that kind of took me back to like when I became a drum instructor at a younger age, because like I'm a completely self-taught drummer. I never had a drum instructor, and like anything I picked up, I just kind of like I either learned in school band, or I just like heard other people do it, and like I just kind of like put my own sort of feel to it. But because I knew those songs, and again, when you're teaching drums, you have a very limited amount of time to learn the song, and then you've got a very limited amount of time to teach it. And so I'll process a song in this weird kind of computer way, to the point where like I can sing the vocal part, you know, I can sing what the bassist is doing. Like I'll learn the song like completely, and then I start worrying about the drums. Like I'll make sure I know the song, and then I worry about the drums. And a lot of drummers do it different. They'll immediately approach it from just the drums and not know the song, and butcher the shit out of those parts when it actually comes down to playing it.
Yeah, a lot of those songs give you like clues or like indications of parts.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Well, I knew every damn clue.
I bet you did.
That's so. That just makes me excited when something like that happens to someone that's a fan that actually really processed the music.
It was insane to me, but it didn't even like set in at that time, you know, because like it was so nonstop. Like it was nonstop with those guys, drove straight to Texas, then, you know, in this gig, and it's, you know, and it was nonstop. And those guys, when I joined in, they hadn't had a day off in like 8 years or something like that. Like it was
very experienced.
Yeah. Oh, they were mechanical. Yeah. And that was like the first time where like I came in and there wasn't any bullshit. Like you knew that everybody you were on stage with was a serious player.
Business,
and
yeah.
Yeah. And it was no different. But so we started that tour. We leave Dallas. Our first show is in Albuquerque. And we get to Albuquerque, and we're setting up on stage after the VIP meet and greet that we had, and I'm just like, what the fuck is any of this? Like,
nobody knows me. Why am I here?
You're the drummer, baby. You're the drummer now.
Hi, I'm new.
They just all thought I was part of the I was just one of the you know, fans at the VIP thing, you know, like no one.
No, I'm taking over here.
But so I'm up on stage and I'm getting my kit set up, and I looked up, and Andrew, my singer, the singer in my favorite band is handing me my snare drum, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god,
is this real life?
Yeah, so 4 count into the song, and we smacked it, and it was nonstop with those guys. So my crazy story involves us going to Australia.
Oh,
So,
are my Aussies in chat still? Because I have a lot of Aussies in chat.
I'm sure.
They're probably
Matter
lurking.
of fact, Tufi's been to one of my shows in Australia, and we didn't even know it until years later. Yeah, yeah, in Brisbane.
Show yourself,
Did
Tufi.
he help stage setup? Because he does that too.
Yeah, I think he was just there for the show. But anyway, we had a band from Australia come to the States and support us on tour that we became really good friends with, called Dead Letter Circus, and then we were invited by them to support them in Australia. So we get out there, and it's them, us, and a band called 12 Foot Ninja, and that's the tour.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
That's a killer band.
well, it was 12 Foot
Wow.
Ninja's like debut. Like no one knew them like they knew them now. You know what I mean? And they, matter of fact, like the Silent Machine album hadn't even come out yet. Like that album hadn't come out. But so we're in Australia, and this is PG-13. I'm not saying anything really crazy on this one, but we met a guy, a photographer in Australia while we were there that went to several of our shows, and this guy was like very in touch with like mind, body, and spirit and nature. And so he had
Was he a nudist?
He had on him this. It's a root that, and I don't even know the name of it or anything, but like you grind it down.
Ayahuasca?
Oh,
It's not ayahuasca,
No?
but it's very similar to like.
salvia? That was really big back then.
No, it's like comparable to like almost like ecstasy or something, or like MDMA,
Peyote?
something like that.
It's an herb.
No, I don't think so. And it was a
it was
root,
from
but
Australia.
It wasn't a hallucinogen,
Okay.
but it was just like a, like you just feel very
You
like.
feel the earth,
I don't
everything.
know, yeah, you kind of do. So, we and it's not wasn't a big deal. He's just like, this is perfectly legal. I just don't like dirty drugs, and this is fun or whatever. So like,
He was the hippie of the
Here,
show.
lick this toad.
Oh yeah, we were at the, yeah, pretty much. We
It's
were at the show,
organic.
he like had this little thing. He's like, stick your tongue out. Just like, okay. So he gives us all a little bit, and it's no big deal. It's really not a big deal.
He says this.
But then he gives it to us. It's this like kind of big bag of this shit, and we're like, oh man. And like when it kicks in, like you feel like talkative and shit, and you feel very like amped up and stuff, and like
Why am
That's
I
all, like,
naked?
a total like, performance enhancer, like totally. And so anyway,
So
he
you felt one with the notes, is what you're
pretty
saying.
much, yeah. I played a sick set that night, man. I really,
You were really in it.
You're in
I
it.
was feeling it. But so anyway, we finished the tour. We finally finished the tour up, and it's time for us to fly home. And we fly from we're in Brisbane with Dead Letter Circus, and we fly from Brisbane to Sydney, and we fly from Sydney straight to Dallas Fort Worth, like straight. When we were flying to Australia, we left out of LAX and flew straight to Brisbane, but we had to fly like Dallas to LA to Australia.
Wow.
It was just like, Brisbane to Sydney and then Sydney home, pretty much. So we make our flight from Brisbane to Sydney, and after Sydney, we've got to go through customs, and security, because we're about to fly internationally.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're standing there in security, and we're all holding a bunch of, all of our gear and shit. This is where the crazy story
Oh
happens.
boy. Okay.
What is this?
So
Let's prepare.
We're in line, and I don't have any of my shit. Like I'm holding 2 cases. I'm holding a bag that has like some guitar effects and some other shit in it, and then like a case that has like things to fix guitars and like sprays and shit like that. And I'm a drummer, and I can't describe or explain any of that shit properly.
Mm-hmm.
So we're standing there in line, and I'm just like waiting in line, man. I've got a lady in front of me, and I turn back and I look at Cliff, my guitar player, and he's locked eyes with me, and he goes,
Wait a
I
second.
have those drugs in my pocket.
Oh.
I was like, what do you mean you have? And he goes, I have them in my pocket. We flew from Brisbane here with, and then he goes, we can go to the bathroom. And so, me and him break line and we go to the bathroom, and he walks into this little stall first, and I'm like, do as much as you can, I'll do the rest.
Oh,
and
no.
He goes,
You
right,
mean
so
what? Wait a second. You guys didn't. Whoa.
we didn't ditch it. For whatever.
We're like, we're gonna take this.
I thought we were gonna ditch it, and for whatever reason, he's just like, we got to do it. And then I immediately was like, yeah, you're right, we got to do it. So I was like,
not the whole thing.
well,
You mean
all
you
right,
couldn't
so,
get through TSA or the checkpoint without telling them, like, this is a plant. I'm growing it at home. It's
Well, I mean,
we'll spend hours trying to explain,
medicinal herbs.
Honestly, this was a fucking hippie guy.
You don't
in
ditch
Pirate
when
Bay.
you're that young.
It's a cilantro officer.
No, but like the way you described it, it was like really powerful, potent shit. So like, I don't know how much it was that you guys intook or whatever, but
Well, so
continue.
this was a yoga dude from Byron Bay that told us this shit was not illegal. So whether it was or wasn't, like we weren't
taking that risk.
don't flash it, dude.
Cliff goes into the stall, does as much as he can, flushes, opens it up, hands the rest of the bag to me, and he did like half of it.
Whoa.
And like I closed the door, I'm like, here we go. And I fucking down that little bag in my mouth, and the rest of it. So
Like if it was Pop Rocks or something.
the drugs are gone. The probably legal, but maybe also illegal drugs are gone. So I'm back in line in security, and I'm still holding all the shit that I had. But everyone else is already like gone. Like Cliff handed me the bag, like the rest of it, and then booked it. Like got through security and shit. So like I come out of the bathroom, and I'm waiting in line in security, and no big deal. And somebody goes, "Excuse me, sir." And like I looked up, and security's waving me up, and I'm like, "Oh, it's my turn." I get up there and I throw my shit on the thing, and they're going through the X-ray or whatever, and then beep, 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 beep. They're like, okay, hold on a second. And they start opening shit up, and they're like, all right, what's this? And they pull out this like metal tension thing for a guitar or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know, man. And he goes, what do you mean you don't know? And I was like, it's guitar stuff, and I don't know. And he was like, what do you mean? And like right when he said that, it peaked.
Oh,
shit.
I'm feeling this shit heavy, and I'm like, oh no. And he's like,
I can imagine he's like, I don't know.
I don't know how any of it seemed
my
to them.
hands, my arms.
To me, he was just pulling shit out and was like, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And
I don't know.
And
I don't know.
finally,
I don't know, man.
Finally, I'm just like,
Panic attack.
he pulls at this like bunch of cables, and it looks insane to me. And he's like, what is this? And I'm like, look, if I can't have it, just throw it away for me.
Oh no.
That's probably a
Just throw it away. Just throw it away. I'm telling him that, and then I hear, and I'm on
some
drugs,
stuff.
guys.
that you
It's
don't-
hitting hard. Like you had half a bag. It's hitting hard.
It's hard right now. And so this
Bunch
is all
of snakes,
going on.
run!
This is all going on, and they're still just like pulling shit out. I'm like, what's this? What's this? And then in my head, I'm hearing William Kennedy, like over and
Like
over.
tripping
and I'm like,
out?
what the fuck is going on? I'm like,
Like your
God?
your conscious voice.
I look up, and in slow motion, I'm not even lying, in slow motion, the security guy in front of me is holding something up, and he's mad, and he's talking to me, like in slow motion.
Oh.
And he's like got this like weird facial expression and shit. And I look past him, and there are two flight attendants running full speed, yelling my name at the top of their lungs.
Oh my God.
Like, what is fucking happening right now?
I'm panicking.
They get to security, and they're like, he is on an international flight that's trying to taxi out right now, and they can't leave without him. And so they just box everything back up real fast and give it to me. And these ladies grab me by my arm and run me as fast as they can
Oh
to
my
the train.
God.
I get on the plane. Everyone in that plane is staring straight at me because they've all been sitting there waiting for like 20 minutes.
You were
On
holding them up.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
And I've got people that don't understand the situation.
And then he's
or-
fucked up at the same time, so it's even weirder. Like
Oh, yeah.
weird.
Yeah, so they're like mad. Like everybody's like really mad at me. So I get in the plane and I'm wide-eyed, man. Like widest eyes.
Wide-eyed, glassy-eyed.
Pupils dilated.
Hearing his name echo in his mind.
Huge eyes. I'm walking down the aisle and I finally see my guys and I'm pissed. I'm
Hey,
like,
what about your singer?
Oh, he's passed out, like in the seat. Like
He probably took more than you.
Well, all right. So yeah, the guitar player.
Guitarist.
Oh, the guitar.
The accomplice. Yeah, no, he's sitting there laughing at me. Like he's laughing but not making any noise, you know what I mean? Like when someone's like fucked up and trying to laugh and they're like
yeah.
doing that, like over and over again, and I'm just like, they started asking me about all this stuff and I couldn't tell them anything.
And he left you there?
And my bass player looks at me and he goes, "Hey, just sit down." And like I've
Cool,
been
man.
I like immediately, like I'm standing just like yelling about all of this and they're like,
my
"Hey,
God.
we're trying to leave, just sit
You're
down."
making it obvious.
And I'm just like whispering. I'm like, "Guys, this shit is really strong. It's really strong." And
He's high whispering though, I bet.
To him,
really
it's
was.
whispering. He's probably extra
really
loud saying it.
Guys, this stuff is really strong.
Yeah.
Everyone
So-
around him is like, "What the fuck are they on?"
and, when we flew
whispering
out
loud as
of,
shit.
when we left LAX for Australia, like that was like the longest flight imaginable to me. That was 16 hours over the ocean, like nonstop over the ocean, nonstop. And I'm terrified of the ocean. That's something maybe I didn't mention before, but horribly terrified of the ocean.
And then you're
But,
fucked up.
Oh yeah. Well, so I on the flight there, like I couldn't sleep. Like I would try to sleep and then like wake up a couple of minutes later and like just couldn't. I was uncomfortable. The whole thought of maybe dying in the ocean was like kind of bothering me a little bit.
Cold sweats.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. And like I was in a middle seat, and so like like everybody fell asleep. Like when they turn the lights out, like normal people just fall asleep, and they're all just like snoring in their seats and shit. I'm in the middle, and like I've got to pee because I've been drinking whiskey since we got on this plane. So I like have to like stand and like walk on the seats, like on everybody's like headrests and shit. Like I kind of like I don't know,
Balancing yourself to the bathroom.
Yeah. Bounced off and like jumped in the aisle. Like it was really weird, like a very uncomfortable flight. I sat down in that seat in Sydney. They're like, "Just sit down," and like the plane took off. I closed my eyes. I woke up. We were in Texas.
Wow.
Just like that. So I have hundreds of stories, but that is by far the craziest to me.
Time traveler.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the greatest stories we had in the podcast for sure.
We had to see. We waited the best for last. It was you.
I mean, aside from like Cameron Spence's experience.
Oh, that one was a good one too.
And Scurfield's experience, like
With the bus turning
oh my
to the
god,
side.
like, these
the
are
tour bus.
I love these stories.
Oh,
Everything just falling out.
I'd love to know about all of these. Yeah, I've got some wreck stories, but the wreck stories, they were scary, but not nearly as fucking scary as security asking you about a bunch of guitar stuff while you're on drugs in an airport. Like, and it was just so crazy, man, because like I would just like look, and there's a mile line of people behind me, and like they're all just like waiting on me to finish whatever I'm doing and like get out of the way. So like it was just insane.
And
but
then
like
and then the stewardess coming and just dragging you really quick. You're like, what's going on? What's happening?
that was really wild because like they're running me full speed and like I don't know why. Like it doesn't even like
like
it's not
usually
like,
they would close the doors and fly out if someone's not there. But like, how do you get like them to hold the plane?
But he's like he's in Australia and he's an American, so it's like not just a 2-hour flight, 5-hour flight.
Yeah, they it was an ordeal, and that's a very expensive flight too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't want to go missing those. But anyway, that's that story.
Jeez. You made it back home and alive, drug free.
And he still doesn't know what he took, but you know it was an organic type of plant.
That was some shit, that's for sure.
I'm not a big drug guy. You know what I mean? Like that's like not like have never been like let's do a bunch of drugs while we're on tour and like for whatever reason, man, like that guy just convinced me
that
that
hippie guy. Hippies will do that.
Perfectly fine. You just don't want to get caught in security at the airport with it. That's the. But anyway.
Oh man, what a story! What a story.
Yeah. That was a wild time.
So guys, I know you gave him the list and you told him about the 12 songs, right?
I've warned him. I don't know if he's ready for this.
Are you ready? Oh, wait a second. Did we ask him? Let me see. What were the main questions?
Rapid fires?
Yeah. Sticks of choice.
Sticks of choice.
Oh, Vic Firth 5A.
Nice.
5A nylon tip. I prefer the nylon tips. For whatever reason, I break the wood tips down to these weird sizes, and nylon tips just seem to hold up for me. So
I can't play nylon. I tend to, every time I play, they pop off and hit someone in the eye or something.
I used to have that. I used to have that problem, man. But and I thought that was gonna happen when I switched back, and I haven't popped a single one off.
Nice.
We've been getting that answer a lot
Vic
lately.
Firth?
Yeah, and with the nylon tips. At least for the last few drummers, I noticed.
Yeah, I just like those. I honestly don't think I would use nylon tip if it were any other stick. Like I used to use ProMark, and they don't have a good nylon tip, so I would just use wood tip, But
maybe that's why, because I use ProMark and all the nylons pop off.
Yeah, I used to have the same thing happen, and with Vader too. Vader were the worst, man. I don't think I could ever play a pair of Vader sticks again. It's like I know I'm just gonna crumble them in my hands. Like they don't hold up. It's just not to me not a good stick. But
cymbals.
Meinl. I went to Meinl from Zildjian, and I like them. I think they're great. These are all the dark customs here. I'm still using a Zildjian ride that I just can't seem to break. I told myself I'd replace it when I broke it, and yeah, I just can't seem to. There we go. I just can't seem to break the damn thing. But yeah, all Meinl dark customs.
You like the darks?
Yeah, so I used Bison's before, and I used to use bright cymbals with Zildjian too, but I had a China cymbal, a Zildjian China back in the day, that I got a really good deal on, and I could not stand playing it because it was just so bright. Like it didn't have that real deep darkness to it that I expected it to have, I guess, And I got a hold of a what was that? It was a dark I can't remember now, but a darker, I think it had been a Sabian or something, but just like kind of a darker, kind of deeper China. And that thing sounded way better to me. But so I just kind of I tried to do the brighter stuff for a while, but for everything that I do, and especially like the tone of the drums, the darks just work.
They blend better.
Yeah.
You have the SPD SX on the side. What do you use that for?
Yeah. So with band stuff, I trigger a lot of backtracks and click tracks with it. For this though, I mainly use it for like side snare and like auxiliary sounds and stuff, just kind of some stuff like that, just kind of almost just extra percussion that I can kind of mess around with my left hand. And when you're especially like when I'm using it while I'm streaming, like there's really no point to it. It just kind of it adds a little bit more. Like there'll be certain songs where the drums might cut out completely, and I'll just kind of keep it going with like a something a little extra,
just to fill it in.
Yeah, it's just auxiliary pretty much.
Cool. Your bass drum pedals.
DW 9002s.
Ooh, those are smooth pedals.
Yeah. So I went to DW9s from the DW 5000s, and the 5000s had a lot more resistance in the spring, and just in all weren't as smooth of a pedal. And so it took me a little bit to kind of get the the feel of these, but yeah, just dial your tension in, and dial your spring, and make sure you're not sitting too close to it, obviously. But yeah, they work well for me. And I've got the I have a trick drive shaft, that guy right there in the middle. That's not the DW drive shaft that came with them. The DW one has a little bit of latency with the left pedal. And so I switched to it because it kind of gives both pretty much like the same amount of spring. So it's a little bit like that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, the response is a lot better to me.
Oh, I gotta look into that because my left is just horrible.
Dude, yeah. The trick definitely helps, but also working through some simple eighth note kick drum exercises just on your left, that helps a lot too. Just really kind of building muscle.
Well, I don't mean by like being able to play with my left. I think it's like the tension itself is bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like no matter if I tighten it or loosen it, I just can't seem to get it to be comfortable for my left leg.
Which pedals are you using?
The Iron Cobras.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they're fairly old now, but they have like the spring assist underneath the pedal board.
Oh yeah. I think those things. Yeah, I remember that spring assist.
And you can adjust like how far up on the pedal board you want it to help rebound back, and I just feel like the spring assist doesn't really help. Like it's nice, yeah. But like you're not really relying on the actual spring of the mallet to follow, with that spring assist at the same time, because now you're waiting for that mallet to pull back while your pedal's already at resting point.
Yeah. I had a really this really bad pair of Mapex double bass pedals like right out of high school, and it was like the same way, man. Like I just could not get the left pedal to do anything that I was trying to get it to, and like it was like as soon as like any of the doubles started up, you're like, well, this isn't going to work out, and it never did, man. Like they were always just so sloppy.
Yeah. You have any endorsements currently?
Evans Drumheads technically, but I haven't even gotten a hold of my rep in a long time. I used to have drumsticks and drum heads and cymbals all done through the bands and things like that. But like, once all that touring stopped, endorsements, also, they have expirations also. And yeah, so yeah, I guess technically I still have the thing with Evans Drumheads.
Cool. Any other questions?
I think that's it for the chat. I don't think the chat had any other questions. Michael C. Stone says, I have an identical setup.
9000s with the trick shaft.
Oh yeah. Michael Stone knows what's up, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Michael Stone's got some fun stuff up his sleeve.
He's a scientist, man. He's a damn scientist.
I know. He's one of my favorites, and he remember the whole looping thing with the has some wait, don't sleep on Michael C. Stone.
Yeah,
he has
if you're not following Michael, make sure you're following Michael.
He has things coming up, and it's gonna be big when you guys hear about it.
We got to meet him at TwitchCon.
Yeah.
He's intense, man.
Such a great guy.
Amazing. So I guess we're here at the end of the podcast where we ask you, what are the 12 songs that highlight the soundtrack of your life? And it could be anything from the first song you learned how to play on the drums, the song that you sing to currently to your baby, anything that makes you think that these are the songs that would be on the soundtrack of my life.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Definitely Wheel in the Sky from Journey. Jukebox Hero from Foreigner. That was a really big deal. Let's see. Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses. That one was
Coming in with classics.
Yeah.
Any particular reason why?
I just remember after the guitar intro, just like when the drums actually start slamming in, like I remember I was just like, oh, this is this is huge.
Welcome to the
Well,
jungle, baby.
I remember, like, it was just so heavy and just so rocking, and like there was just something about it, and like I mean, like, I didn't know anything really about Guns N' Roses, and like, but I remember hearing that song, like I remember just that and I'm just like, oh my god, and it just
The energy.
yeah, by the time like the song actually starts, man, you're just like fired out of a damn cannon. And yeah, it was awesome, man. Like, and a lot of the songs too, like I just remember the feeling I had like when I first like really heard it for the first time, or like, really like understood that I liked it, But anyway, moving along.
Is it 4?
A lot of classics in this one. Hold the Line from Toto. That for whatever, like I just love that. That just always. Waiting on a Star to Fall by Boy Meets Girl. If you're not familiar with that, there's a lot of like cheesy 80s songs that like have this like very significant place in my heart. But yeah, Waiting on a Star to Fall, Boy Meets Girl. If you're not familiar, you gotta check that one out. Let's see, Jukebox Hero by Foreigner. I think have I mentioned that one?
I think that was that your second one or your third one?
I think you mentioned that one.
Yeah, you did mention that one.
Okay, don't count that again. Okay, then let's see here. Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf. That one was pretty important to me when I was a kid. Let's see. Yeah. Shooting Star by Bad Company. That one's pretty important. Let's see. Crystal Ball from Styx.
Hitting us with just classics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're at 8.
You're at 8.
8, goodness. All right, yeah. Know Your Enemy from Rage. Intolerance by Tool.
That's a great one.
We're waiting for a Tool one.
I was like, where's the Tool?
That was it. It's like that 20-second like
Yeah.
wait, and then it just down. That was yeah.
Oh yeah,
Still
right.
to this day, like man.
Especially when you hear that live.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's see here.
10? Has it been 10 already? So it's only 2 left, Logan.
Wow, okay.
Make them count.
Let's say Dumpweed from Blink-182. One more?
Suki Socks is rating.
Was that all, or is there one more?
One more. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders.
One more. Let's go with Gravity by Perfect Circle.
Oh, Perfect Circle.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You gotta add a bonus one because I feel like you're missing a band.
I feel like you're
missing one.
conflicted and you need one more in there. But I love how you added a perfect circle there. Mitch had a perfect circle in his. It was 3 Libras.
Wait, no, Michael McDonald?
Suki Socks.
If they were like, all right, top 13.
Wait, Michael McDonald with that beard and that soulful voice.
The first band you played. The first band you played.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, damn.
Right? I knew, because I'm like,
See?
like you talk about them, and I'm like, how is this not in your top 12?
It's influential.
Yeah, Rumblefish, Seven Dust.
There you go.
But also, I guess
Rumblefish.
if we're counting like runner-ups or whatever, or honorable mentions. Orphan Anthem 86 by Fair To Midland. Like that was, that's still to this day. And I've played that song hundreds of times with them, and to this day, like I can put that in and feel the same way I did when I first heard it. It's one of those things.
Very nice. That's a nice list.
Yeah,
that was a good list.
That's a strong, solid list.
I'm missing like 100 songs that are also like incredibly important.
Mm.
Well,
like I didn't mention any Yes. I didn't mention any.
Yeah.
I didn't mention any
Rush.
Rush. Goodness.
Yeah. That's why sometimes we just add that at the end, like so you have a little bit of time to think. Some people it's really hard.
Yeah.
Well,
but those ones that you mentioned are the ones that made more of an impact because those are the ones that you shouted out first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I can think of so many more, but like, yeah, those especially were very important. And like right off the bat, I wanted to say a Rush song, but I was like, there's other, I don't want to use one of mine on one everyone's probably expecting me to say anyway. So.
Well, but that's the point because it's yours, like it's what defined you and your life and how it impacted you in some way and what it reminded you of, and everyone may have like the same structure of a list, but to them it means something different.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So. But yeah, man, that was awesome. I enjoyed our conversation here. We went over our time because we were just vibing and we were just
we catched a vibe with you for sure. It was definitely a really great way to end the last music podcast before we end with the whole review of the entire year. So it's like you're the nice little bow at the end of 2022.
I'm honored to be the last one.
I gotta listen to more of your other stuff, like the original stuff, because that stuff is killer. It's amazing.
I'm gonna have to play them a couple times on stream too.
Next time you see him live, put
me some songs.
Put an original in the request and he'll play it.
All right, yeah.
So when's the next time you're gonna be on Twitch?
Or in any show around the area where people could check you out?
I've been so inconsistent the last little while. It's been a really like strange year or so, or like a year or more, and I will definitely be back around. Probably not next week. I'll probably hold off until like after the Christmas break.
Yeah,
after a New Year.
Yeah, I usually like before, like I would try to do like a Christmas kind of stream, and I'm not sure if I'll really be able to fit it in.
Well, I mean, you're a dad now, so you gotta.
You're that cute little baby that you
spend time with your family.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the
best gift.
That determines a lot of my decisions. And soon. And I'll probably start doing some stuff with the band, also in kind of a streaming situation. We'll see. We're talking about it.
That'd be cool. Yeah, we'll be following up with you. Let us know. You're in the Drummers Discord, right?
No.
If not, I'll shoot you the link so you can join them, and then whatever you're doing as an update, you can post stuff on there too.
Okay.
So and then people are aware of your whereabouts and what you're up to. But yeah, man, it was amazing. I love your stories, and you're such a great guy, and I'm so glad we got to have the opportunity. Have the opportunity. The opportunity.
And that's not even Jersey or New York.
Man, I can't talk. To have you on here, and I know we've had discussions about getting you on the podcast in the past for some time, and we now are able to do this. So
and we would love to have in the future, if it's possible, like some of your band members. We did have a Progcrafts band this year, and that was amazing. And also we had a live performance with Hotel Security this year. So it's been really a fun fucking year for everything, like the whole music community coming together, having you guys interact. and get to know each and every one of the musicians here on the podcast one by one. Every week has been special in its own way, and I just love seeing everybody grow, everybody get to know each other and support one another, whether it's being here, just interacting with one another, or going in there showing love. I mean, for his birthday on Friday, tremendous love we felt.
It was amazing.
It was really incredible.
I was not expecting, that turnout and the amount of support and love, from the community to come in and just vibe with us and, just party it up with me on my birthday. And it was awesome. So thank you to all that came out and hung out with me.
Just back from a show, yes.
Yeah.
DW.
So for the closing song, what song are you going to take us out to, Logan?
I reckon I could play a Fair To Midland tune.
Anything you want, anything that you feel like you want to play and take us out with.
That'd be great. So we have a end of year podcast review in 2 weeks. So come on out. We're gonna be reviewing everyone we had on the podcast this year, talking about the highlights and our experiences for those that have yet to see some of the members that we've had on the podcast. And that's going to be amazing. We are hosting a contest for those that are interested. If you do decide to be a part of this, anyone that wants to create a theme song for the YenYorkCity Podcast 2023, we will be reviewing that on Christmas Day during the review. And the community will vote for their favorite song to take us out to start us off on 2023. If we have no submissions, then I'm just going to have to create one myself.
Yes.
So.
And that's going to be a song that's going to go out through the whole year. So, I mean, it's a pretty big deal because, it's going to be in the credits. It's going to be like featured every single time we have a new musician. So, it's a great way to get your stuff out there if you're into that kind of stuff. So. And
we're going to be putting this on the Spotify with credited, information and also royalty percentage. So if you're interested in this, jump on it. DM me. I'll give you some more information about it. And if not, then I'll do it myself.
He doesn't mind. So, but yeah, it'll be fun to see what happens. If anybody wants to, take a
stab at it.
I was like, what is another way of saying it without sounding so violent? I was like thinking, wait, should I say that one?
And the last thing that we want to mention is that we are planning something big for the summer or end of summer of 2023. We've reached out to a few of you. This is a serious thing that we're doing. We are RSVPing, and we're going to be launching an RSVP to more people as the year comes. So that we have an idea of the amount of people that are interested in showing up to this event. It's a limited ticketed event. It is the YenYorkCity Musicians Summit 2023 in New York City, East Coast, for drummers and musicians to come and meet, mingle, network, watch some live performances. There's going to be trivia. There's going to be giveaways. There's going to be
a live podcast.
Catering is going to be great. So,
and then just, plan out a weekend, maybe carve out that weekend and come see the town, and we'll do something, dinner or something, even after we have that show and everything set.
We have a location in mind. We're just getting all the logistics situated. So then
it's gonna be in Soho.
Launch the ticket sale soon, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
But yeah, you guys got to be interested, and I got to have enough people, kind of like what Drum Whispers did. He got all the drummers together and stuff. So now everyone, the first people that I'm sending those invites are everyone that's been on the podcast, because it's been, it's kind of a list. So we want to fill that list up first and then get it out to the public so they can get a chance to get the tickets too.
The RSVP are the ones that are going to get the initial jump on the ticket sales. And then after that, it's going to be made public.
Yeah. So. And we're looking for at least 3 bands also to perform that we would love. So, that actually are willing to come to Manhattan, New York City, and perform in the venue. So that'll be really fun to see who actually wants to do it.
So join the YenYorkCity Discord for more information and alerts on that special event and more to come. And Logan.
Yes.
You're amazing.
You're freaking awesome.
Oh my goodness.
We're looking forward to what's going to come in store for you at 2022. And congratulations again for being a dad. That's amazing. That's beautiful. That's the biggest gift that anyone can ask for. I know, because I'm a mom too. I know. And yeah, and give him some, he's already holding drumsticks, I bet, right?
Oh yeah, every day. He's in here.
Yeah, they start little. It's in them. It's in the blood.
Oh yeah.
So guys, stay for the raid. Okay, stay for the raid. Show the next person some love. And Logan Kennedy drums, you're amazing. And we wish you nothing but the best. I hope you have a beautiful holiday season. And 2022 is gonna be even more rocking than this year. And we can't wait to see you live and new music also and everything in between that's exciting that's coming up for you in 2023. I can't believe it. We're gonna almost be in 2023. So
that's crazy.
Thank you so much. And What's the song? What's the song that you're closing up with?
I'm gonna do one by Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins. This is Overture.
Awesome. This is amazing. All right. Thank you so much, Logan. Guys, stick around. Get hyped. Logan Kennedy drums.